Let's have a laugh.
In a world of remakes and remasters,
Are we playing for keeps?
what was once sacred and cool has now soured and become lame.
Raspberry.
Gone are the days of Hans and Cowabunga. Now is the reign of slurp juice and dabs. Kids these days don't even know how bad they've got it. Now it's up to the best generation to rise to the occasion and make a show that dares to go where a lot of other nerdy shows have already gone quite a bit. That's right. They're going to talk about it a lot. Hey, welcome everybody. Welcome back to the show. This is Best Gen episode I don't remember. This is the show where me and my friends complain about nerdy things. The show's called Best Gen because we all believe that we are from the best generation, but we're very accepting of anyone. It doesn't matter what generation you're in, just as long as you acknowledge that DJ Casper struck gold with the cha-cha slide. So today we'll be talking about Raised by Wolves and also the Batman. Joined today by my cousin Jared, looking dapper in his bow tie.
Thank you.
My brother David, who's wrapped in a snuggie.
That's right. No, I got my my cozy bathrobe today because it's cold here in the basement.
Arizona is pretty nice right now.
Yeah, we got snow this morning.
In other recent, completely unrelated news, my brother was recently made a castrati. And last but not least, the enigmatic trophy husband himself, me. We might have a fourth panelist today. My friend Corwin might jump on. He might be busy arresting people because he's a cop. And our other usual Tanner is off. Oops, sorry, I just had a thing get unplugged.
I hate it when things get unplugged.
I'm so professional.
That's what you said.
The other usual, my friend Tanner is busy tonight meeting his girlfriend's parents. So
No excuse.
yeah, really, I could have at least live streamed in from his phone, right?
Yeah.
Gone to just excuse himself to the bathroom to talk about Batman real quick.
That depends on how meeting the parents goes, right?
But yeah, tonight's gonna be a lot of fun. I've watched the Batman, and I know that David has because I babysat his kids. But Jared, did you get a chance to see it?
I did not, but I have seen some good things about it. So
yeah. Well, what do we want to jump into first, the Batman or Raised by Wolves?
Well, I don't want to spoil the Batman for Jared if he hadn't seen it yet. You did see Raised by Wolves, right?
Yeah. How about let's quickly talk like spoiler-free Batman stuff, and then we'll get into Lord of the Rings, and at the end of the show, we'll get into Batman spoilers. How about that?
Good plan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Trevor, I think you meant Raised by Wolves, not Lord of the Rings.
It was Raised by Wolves. Sorry, I made there's. Well, that's a good segue into one of our other segments. I just spoiled one of the surprises. But I definitely have today some sweet gems to share with everybody, and it's talking about Boba Fett and Lord of the Rings and even the Wheel of Time. So let's just jump straight into it from the get go. My favorite new segment is this is Screen Rant's Bad Takes, everybody.
Screen Rants. Bad Takes.
Okay, so every because I'm a nerd, I look up nerdy things, and for Google, because it likes to think that it's also human, predicts my behavior and is constantly recommending me articles from Screen Rant and a bunch of other listicles, and 90% of the time, the headlines that I see from Screen Rant are just utter nonsense. Okay, but this is a surprise. For the first time ever, I was impressed with a Screen Rant article, guys.
Wow,
really?
This is really good. And I just realized I forgot I played the wrong stinger, but it's okay. This is a good take from Screen Rant. Okay, this is the Book of Boba Fett reveals a major problem with shared universe stories, and they acknowledge that the Book of Boba Fett isn't about Boba Fett. It's the Mandalorian shoehorned in the entire time. That you're like, there comes a point when the teaser, the setup, is more important than the actual story you're telling, and that's a bad point to get to. Which a lot of the Disney MCU movies are kind of in that same point. Like, people get more excited for the after credits teaser than they do for the movie itself. So I mean, I really got to hand it to him. Screen Rant made a good take. So and I'm not one to mince my words, and I give credit where credit's due. So this has been
Screen Rants. Good takes?
but the same day they posted this article, an hour later, Disney Plus trailer confirms that Boba Fett is part of the Mandalorian universe.
really?
Yeah, that's a bad take, all right.
The same day, within hours of each other, they post one article saying, hey, the Book of Boba Fett has a problem. It's more about the Mandalorian and the shared universe than it is about Boba Fett. And then an hour later, they post this saying, hey, guess what, guys? We just found out that Boba Fett is part of the Mandalorian.
That is pretty bad. I think that might be one of the worst ones we've seen.
Yep.
Oh!
Go figure. Star Wars is in the same universe as Star Wars? What? What? Since when?
So I played the right stinger, but this has been Screen Rant's bad takes. But I'm also going to give him credit here too, because this next article, this is interesting because it's not an opinion. And this is what Screen Rant should stick to, just nerd news, right? When they try and make stuff up, it's crap, and it's what we just saw. They're just like, oh, we need content, and they spit it out, and it's nonsensical. But this was interesting news, and I've seen this reported and confirmed by a bunch of other outlets. But Screen Rant was the first one I saw. They were like a day early on this. So good job, Screen Rant. Do more of this and stop making crap up. So Amazon's The Reacher show has gotten up way more views than The Wheel of Time, which I thought was really interesting.
Did The Wheel of Time break any records or
no?
Okay.
It was performing well though.
Yeah.
I don't have the actual numbers. They might be in this article too. But I haven't watched the Reacher show. I've obviously watched the movies when they came out years ago.
It was
This is
good.
based on Jack Reacher.
Jack Reacher, yeah.
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 It's just a straight adaptation of the first book. And I've talked to people who have read the books, and they said it's like extremely faithful, and that's why people have loved it so much.
Mhm.
And they said it's not even like a groundbreaking show; it's just not bad, and so people are really connecting to it. Like if this was released like 10 years ago, most people have said it would not be special at all. It would just be your average adventure show. But because it's being released now, where everything's so bad, it's getting like tons of praise. But it's
Nice.
Yeah, I
I've heard it's
enjoyed
good.
it, actually. I actually watched it, and I thought it was pretty good. I think, especially for like the Reacher series, I think it was pretty good. I like the guy that plays Reacher.
I've seen a couple clips of him, and he's more book accurate, right? Tom Cruise is a great action guy, but he's also very small. And Jack Reacher from the books is supposed to look like this. He's supposed to look thick, and so that's a lot of the praise it's getting is you cast it really well. But yeah, I thought that was interesting.
Nice. I'll have to give that a look-see.
It was pretty good.
So here's hoping Amazon makes the Wheel of Time show more faithful from now on, and they'll get the same amount of views.
Seriously though, and we've had our rants.
Yeah. But since it's been 2 weeks since we've done this show, I have a lot of articles that have built up, and not all of them are from Screen Rant. So we got another sub-segment called Not Screen Rant's Bad Takes.
Not Screen Rants. Bad Takes.
Coming up, hot in the presses. Oh, we got Corwin joining us. Corwin, we're doing Screen Rants. We're doing Screen Rants Bad Takes. Except this one's not from Screen Rant. The Mandalorian's Feldmoto is Star Wars' horniest character, and we love it. No, just Jared.
Wait, is this a real thing?
This is a real article.
Really?
Yes.
I think it's hilarious.
May God help us all.
Yep.
She banged a Jawa. So dumb. Okay, but it gets worse. This one is this one's funny. This is from Inside the Magic. That last one was I've never even heard of them before. This is Inside the Magic. Amazon show changes 2 iconic Lord of the Rings characters for good. And they're arguing here that the changes to Galadriel and Lord Elrond are great, which is an interesting stand to take, because I'm not like super into Lord of the Rings lore, but everyone I've seen talking about it who knows Tolkien, this is what they're most upset about is the changes to Galadriel. The TV show is making her into like a warrior, right? She's literally leading a charge into an army, and in the books, she's like a diplomat. It's really interesting to me how Hollywood needs to make everyone like they need these strong female characters, but Galadriel was already an awesome strong female character without any of these changes. That's a real bad take.
Wow, really?
Like seriously, this is like I've watched a ton of people, and this is the thing they're most upset about, right? is the changes to these two characters, and they're trying to argue, oh, this is a good change because they don't know anything about the source material. So that's another bad take. But this one is the worst. This not for offensiveness, just for sheer stupidity. This is a real article that I found this morning. This is from Fansided, the winteriscoming.net. The Wheel of Time Season 2 isn't coming out in March 2022.
Wow.
That's hilarious.
What is this?
That's news to me, man.
This is just a prime example of just content farm.
Yeah.
Right? Like they have to publish or they'll lose their jobs. So they just publish utter nonsense. Of course the season 2 isn't coming out in March. That's this month. It's March now. And the Wheel of Time just ended 2 months ago. Why would we expect season 2 in March?
Hey, that's not a bad idea though. Next month they could come out with.
They could come out with.
It's not coming out in April,
Next month, the
They're
Wheel of
set.
Time season 2 isn't coming out in April of 2022. Just
While they're at it,
once
they
a
can
month.
say, "Here's a list of Doctor Who characters that have not been confirmed as the next Doctor, but we're going to talk about it anyway." Still, I've seen that article so many times. It's like, has someone been confirmed? No,
it
no
has
one's
not.
been confirmed.
It has not been confirmed that this actor will be playing the new Doctor.
Exactly.
So
I've read so many articles.
what you're
I'm
saying
like,
is
stop it.
nothing.
Well, what I was just reading a little bit of this, and this is funny. It's like, so we'll scroll up a little bit.
Yeah.
So right there, it's like, still, there's no way we're going to see it in March 22. This is a complicated show that involves a lot of post-production work. They'll need some time.
I'm pretty sure they're still filming. Either that or they just finished. But like,
That's so funny.
what?
Yeah.
They were filming like during when season 1 was airing. They took a hiatus to like go to the premiere. Pretty sure, because they wanted to do a bunch of interviews afterward, and Rafe had to like schedule them to show up on time. To like take a break from filming. Like there's it's just the most asinine just schlock I've ever seen in my life. That's the segment. Those are all the fun articles I found in these last 2 weeks. That's been Screen Rants, and also some not Screen Rants, bad takes, and 1 or 2 good Screen Rant articles that we already showed. So that's the segment, everybody.
I like it.
Corwin, have you seen Batman?
I didn't, because you decided not to go with me like we had talked about and went with your wife instead. Bros before hoes. You backstabbing turd.
Yeah, bro,
Hey,
if my wife was a hoe, I would have gone with you.
He took his literal bro. We did exchange and watch each other's kids.
I thought you said that you weren't. I thought you had said that you weren't working on Friday, and that's when we were going to see it. So I said, "Let's go Friday." You said, "No, I'm working on Friday." So,
Whose fault is it now?
we're gonna do a quick like spoiler free Batman talk, and then we'll get into Raised by Wolves, and then at the end of the stream we'll talk full spoilers, and you guys can leave.
Okay.
Because Jared
I haven't
hasn't
seen it either. Yeah.
I liked the movie. It was 3 hours long.
Really?
That it was.
But,
Yes. It's a long one.
I was entertained the whole time, but I was definitely feeling it by the end of the movie. I was like, it's been 3 hours. There are some movies where, you're so engrossed where you don't even notice how long it's been. It was good. It was really well made. But I felt the length. I think they could have trimmed it down pretty easily, made it a little bit shorter. Because my wife was definitely complaining about how long it was. But really, really good cinematography, really good visuals, and really just one scene that was stupid.
One line in one scene.
One line in one scene that was stupid. The rest of the
I think
scene,
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
there was one part that really, really was really bad, and it's so bad that it decreases my enjoyment of the film as a whole. Like it drops the whole film like a letter grade for me. But
I didn't think it was that bad.
I think if it was excluded, I would put it in like A+ tier. It was one of my favorite Batman stories on screen that I've seen.
That's
sure.
what I've seen. As a lot of stuff said, this is like the best Batman yet.
Not the best. No, I mean it's really hard to beat The Dark Knight.
Yeah,
The question is it the Christopher Nolan killer that everyone talked about?
No, it's close. It's up there.
It's really, really good. I think it's
But
it's
I
neck and neck with Dark
don't
Knight
even think it's a debate.
in my mind.
I don't think it's a debate. The Dark Knight is better.
I would agree there. But just The Dark Knight, I think it's better than the other two in the.
Yes, it's better. It's better than the other two Nolan movies. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I liked it. I thought Robert Pattinson did a great job as Batman. He did a good, deep Batman voice without being illegible. Like you could understand him. It was great, but it was intimidating.
So you're not going to get any memes? Is that what you're telling me?
No, you could understand.
Areas.
You could understand what he was saying when he did the Batman voice.
Yeah, no, it was really good. It was just
Where is he?
Yeah,
There's no memes. There's no meme voice.
I thought the portrayal of the Joker. Someone asked me if it was like a faithful portrayal, and I was like, honestly, I don't know. Not from any like comic book that I've seen.
Are we talking about Nolan or
no? So not of the Riddler. Sorry, but the Riddler.
Right,
I said the Joker. I said
you
the
said
Joker.
the Joker?
I'm talking about the portrayal. The Riddler is the villain of the piece, right?
Yeah.
I don't. There's probably a comic book out there that has this interpretation of the Riddler.
As far as his costuming, you're talking about, right?
I'm talking about his costuming and just his portrayal as well.
I think he's
let me finish.
Right, sorry.
I'm saying it didn't feel like super comic book accurate to me as far as his portrayal, but that not in a bad way. It was a very different interpretation of the Riddler, but it was very appropriate for this movie.
I agree.
But yeah. I've never read a comic book with the Riddler like that. Regardless of the costume, I wasn't a huge fan of his face mask.
Yeah, it was a little bit off-putting. I don't think it. Just looking at it,
it wasn't as intimidating as I think they thought it was.
I agree. Well, I think it's intimidating. I just don't think it looks like the Riddler. When I first saw the commercials, I was like, "Oh, is that Bane? What is that?" But yeah,
you didn't catch the giant question mark in his coffee.
No, I got that. I thought I didn't connect the dots that was the Riddler. I got that they were having they got the Riddler and they got Penguin, right. And I was thinking, oh, do they have Bane in here too? What? Because it was just a quick flash on the TV. But yeah, I thought the Joker was really well portrayed.
The Riddler.
And, I said the Joker too. The Riddler was very well portrayed. It was very good.
You know why you're saying the Joker?
Modern adaptation.
Because he kind of feels like the Joker in this movie.
Kind of, yeah.
The Riddler feels
sadistic mastermind. Crazy.
He's less like control-y. No. But his portrayal feels more like what a typical Joker portrayal is.
Yeah. Which
is why it feels different, but for this film, it works really well.
Yeah, but I thought they did a really good job of modernizing the story and the Batman. This was just a much more grounded, much more realistic Batman than we've gotten in the past.
Yeah,
there was no like ninja disappearing and
there were scenes where he disappeared, but it wasn't like that would be impossible. It was
right. And a couple times they showed you like what happened, where he went, and he jumps off a building and glides down, and it's not super graceful,
Mm-hmm.
But I loved it. It was just really grounded and realistic. The Batmobile was just like a souped up sports car. It was great. You could actually believe that this is just some rich kid with a bunch of fancy equipment, and he's not some like perfect parkour ninja that teleports behind people.
The story is kind of a slow burn. It's a film noir.
Yeah.
It even has like Batman doing the film noir narration, kind of.
In the beginning, yeah.
And especially with Catwoman in the movie, like she's the femme fatale.
Yeah.
It's a film noir detective movie, and it's slow. It takes its time, but it's very purposeful. And there are shots from this movie that feel like they were just lifted straight from a comic book.
Oh yes,
in how visually cool they are.
Very good cinematography. Yeah, absolutely.
I enjoyed it, but that scene, I mean, the more that one part, and I know I know you really well, Corwin. It's going to upset you a lot, and it really hampers my enjoyment of the whole film. Just one stupid scene. If I ever buy the movie, I will edit it out and reprint it.
So would this be a movie that, like, should I go to theaters to see it?
Yes.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
100%.
Should I wait and enjoy it in the comfort of my own home?
No.
I have my own popcorn maker. I have a big 85-inch screen television. Like,
no,
100% go see it in theaters.
You need the large screen and the surround sound. That's another thing I was going to bring up is the music in this film is amazing. They incorporate themes that go together. It's really, really good. It's kind of honestly, it rips a little bit on Star Wars. The theme is like almost the Imperial March, but I don't know. It's so good. It's so good, and it feels so Batman. And then they tie it into like this classical Ave Maria music. It's beautiful. You got to go see it.
The music is good, and it's used well. I personally, as a musician, I wish they would have iterated on the theme. Was a little repetitive, and they keep bringing it back and reincorporating it, which is good. But they could have iterated on it a little bit to make it less repetitive. But it is used effectively. Yes,
I agree.
It's good.
My only other downside that I was going to say is I thought Robert Pattinson did a great job as Batman.
Yes, I knew he would.
I don't know. I believe that he would make a good Batman, but
you don't know if he made a good Bruce Wayne.
I don't know if they gave him enough time to be.
He wasn't. Wayne. Yeah, there was like 2 scenes where he was Bruce Wayne. He was Batman for the whole movie.
He was Batman for a lot of the movie, and the problem is when he was Bruce Wayne, he was a dark and broody
and didn't have any dialogue
character and didn't have very much dialogue, and it was just like when he spoke, it was just like he was Batman. So I wish, and I know
I didn't have a problem with it.
I liked him. The story didn't really lend to that sort of thing, but I wish they would have had more time as Bruce Wayne and show him, to be the charismatic, playboy millionaire type.
I don't know
of character.
I don't think it would have served the movie at all. The movie was about Batman.
That's what I'm saying.
The movie was about Detective Batman, and he spent the entire movie as Batman. So it was good.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is we didn't really get to see him as a Bruce Wayne,
right?
Really, he was dark and broody the whole time. Did we lose Corwin?
He might be popping in and out.
All right.
So, yeah, it's really good. Go see it in theaters. I wish that they didn't put that one dumb scene in, but and maybe we can talk about it more next week if you guys actually do your homework.
Well, this week is spring break for me, so
spring break. Go to Mexico.
Tijuana, baby. All right.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about Raised by Wolves and then pivot back to this full spoiler at the end.
I'm so excited to talk about Raised by Wolves. So when we decided to do this, I had to make a decision. Where am I going to stop watching season 2 because I'm the only one that had seen it, right? And season 2 is airing right now. There's 2 episodes left.
Oh goodness.
And I couldn't commit to that. So I'm caught up with season 1 and season 2, but obviously it would be a lot to ask to have you guys binge the whole series. So the plan is to just do 1 episode at a time, unless like everyone skipped ahead. But I only took notes on season 1, episode 1, and it's actually really funny. I was so excited about it, I almost forgot to rewatch episode 1. But I did that late
Yeah.
last night.
So I think that depends on how much Jared has watched, because I watched the first
you're
5
like-
episodes. So
You watched the first 5?
yeah.
Yeah, I only watched the first one. I thought we were
good,
doing this
good.
one.
That's
by
what
one.
Jared. That's what we're doing. That's
It was-
all I expected of you. And
it
I
was
told
tough.
David to stop. I was like, he kept texting me. This keeps getting weirder. I'm like, David, how many episodes have you watched? We're only doing 1 at a time. He's like, I've watched 5 in a row.
Not in a row. I watched the first 2 the first night because
It's hard to
I
stop. After
I don't know
episode
how
1, right?
I don't know how you just watch one, because after that first episode I'm like, what is going on? I need to watch it.
Oh,
So we watched
talk
the
about
first 2
talk
the
about
first
the
night.
ending to episode 1, right?
Yeah, and then the next night we watched the next 2, and then it was like a week, and then we watched episode 5 a couple days ago.
All right.
Yeah, I
Well,
don't even know where to begin. Like,
what did you guys think of Raised by Wolves?
So I'll let you go first, Jared. I've got a lot of notes.
well, I'm just like, what is Alan making us watch now?
Exactly.
It's so good.
Well, because like first off, the jumpsuits, I was like,
Yeah.
that's just uncomfortable. The whole time I was like, I would hate to be those actors where they had
Yeah.
to-
How long did it take you guys to figure out that they're robots?
I mean, as soon as she
Because the dialogue
plugs
is
into
awkward. The dialogue is awkward, but it could just be futuristic awkward, right?
Yeah, I think it was I want to say it was like as soon as he jumped out of the plane and was like trying to hold it, I was like,
Okay, yeah. Could have been a superhuman though.
yeah, maybe. But I was like, the weird funky suit. I'm thinking it may. I don't know.
Yeah,
I
I really don't like those suits. They're so weird.
it
But
works
they're-
though. It works.
No, it doesn't, because I have a note here. Not only are they hideous, but it's a bad choice, I think, cinematography wise. Reason being is because so this world is very monotone, right? There's not a lot of color. It's just a whole bunch of whites and browns and grays, and
Yes.
when you have
I get that.
outside shots,
Uh-huh.
saran wrap is the way of the future. Yes.
I already know what you're gonna say, and I already have my retort.
Do you now?
Yes. Keep going.
Okay. I'm saying when you have these outside shots where everything in the back
Hold on.
is
Pause.
white.
Pause.
Mhm.
I'm typing in my response.
So you know that you're not cheating.
Typed in. Okay, go.
Okay. The whole background is just like this beige gray, right? And then you have these bright, shiny, silver metallic suits. And one of the androids is African American. He's got this black, dark skin. And when you have these outside shots, there's no contrast. You can't focus on his face. And it's just a black shadow. And I can't see anything. It's just the background, his bright white suit, and his face. Just this big shadow. And there's so many shots on there. I'm like, what are they thinking? This is just, it looks awful. I hated it.
Are you done?
Yeah, I'm done. Put in your thing.
That's the point. There's a line in episode 1 where Mother is talking to Champion, and she said, or no, Champion is talking to Mother, and he says, or one of them says the line, "This world doesn't care about you. This world doesn't care if you live or you die. It's purposeful. Their outfits are purposeful. There's when you get the wide shots and you can't see them very, like they blend into the surroundings. That's the point. They are insignificant in this new world where they're drowned out. They're ants, And when you get, as you go further along in the series too, it even illustrates that point even more, that like this is not their world. It's uncaring,
Mhm.
and they're just specks, part of a much bigger design, and I don't want to say too much.
Okay, I think you're over analyzing it. I think it was a bad idea. It looks terrible. And when
I
they
like the
mentioned,
suit.
there's a tropical part of the planet, I'm like, thank goodness, please leave
All-
this
all I-
area.
I just can't stop thinking about the wedgies. Like I'm just like,
Yeah,
wow, those would be so uncomfortable.
I know.
I
It's just uncomfortable for your actors. You get bad shots. You
don't know, it
can't
looks kind of comfortable
light it properly. And then, like, what is the purpose of them
because they're
aesthetically and functionally?
because they're robots. They don't wear regular clothes, right? It's weird. It's jarring, and that's the point. Like it's so different, right? This show is such a unique sci-fi in that, like, it's not trying to draw any parallels to the world that we know, right? This is a completely different thing. We've left Earth behind, and it's just this completely new environment. So everything is weird. The palm trees look strange, right? Like all of the plants, they've taken so much care into building Kepler 22b that there's not a single thing other than like maybe rocks that look like they belong on Earth. The trees are weird. The bones they find are giant snakes. Everything is foreign, and it's so cool. You're just thrown headfirst into this unrecognizable landscape.
I agree, but I still hate the android costumes.
Well, okay, so that was one thing. That was one thing.
Yeah.
The other thing too that I thought was weird is like, first off, I totally saw that all of them were gonna die except for the one. I was like, okay, like a little bit, yeah. I could have seen that a mile away.
Yeah.
Yep.
But then I thought it was interesting too because they're talking about like how they're atheists and like how they have this war, and I'm like, is what I'm trying to like, no, and so I mean, I think it's interesting, and I'm not saying that it's bad just because they're atheists and I'm religious, right? But like,
it's interesting because they're atheists.
Yeah,
because how do they act in regards to atheism in general?
Like who? The people or the
as atheists, when she's teaching them about atheism, what does it feel like to you?
It feels very ritualistic in their
It feels like a religion.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful.
Yeah, I can see that.
There's literally a line. She says, "Can you please recite recite the ways in which the number 5 relates to all manifestations of life?"
Yeah,
like it is atheism in this show, and kind of in real life. It is a religion. You have to have, just like you have to have faith to believe in God, you kind of have to have faith to not believe in God too, because if you're wrong, you're screwed, right? Right. So you have to really be sure about atheism, just as much as you have to really be sure about religion. And I think it's this beautiful parallel, and it's explored even more. And I'm really excited for you guys to experience the wonderful. It's not Christianity. It's Mithraism, I think. Mithraic.
Mithraic religion. Yeah.
The balance between atheism and the Mithraic, it's really, really, really intriguing.
Well, I think it's interesting too because I feel like they're trying to sort of draw this connection between like the Crusaders and
Yes.
Mhm.
With the costume design of the Mithraic, yes, it's very much like a crusade.
Yes.
yeah, right. Like it looks very like that. That was the weird thing. I was like, it looks like it's supposed to be futuristic, but it looks very medieval as well, and
It's cool.
kind of low budget. I think that's what I think most about this show. I'm like, it looks kind of low budget.
They use the budget wisely. They use it very wisely, because the special effects, man. And I was actually going to mention this and then I forgot to bring it up. I think that's another reason why the suits are the way that you're complaining about. It's a very practical decision because it's very cheap. To make a robot, that's expensive, but to put a human in a weird suit and say it's a robot, that's really cheap. And it gives them the opportunity to put the money where it needs to be in the finale of this episode, which you cannot say that looked cheap, Jared.
Where she kills everybody?
Yeah.
They just kind of exploded. I mean, it's not.
I mean, the spaceships and like it looks flawless.
The spaceships and the holograms and all that stuff
it
looks
looks
pretty good.
really, really good. This is,
But the effect
honestly,
of her exploding people, I wasn't too fond of that either.
Well,
it's
there was a
artistic.
couple times.
It's beautiful. It's like
It
was like a
no, it's
painting.
just there's a
It was like
person
a Jackson
there, and
Pollock,
then
but with people.
yeah, there was a person there, and then in the next frame, it's just a blood splat.
Yeah,
There's nothing there.
yeah.
Well, that's the thing. So
You're
That's
saying
not good. That's not good CGI if it's like
if there's no CGI,
material and then just
you're
complete.
literally explaining the thing that I really liked about this show.
well, so here's the thing. I think that generally there was good CGI, but then there were also parts where I was like, oh, that's CGI. Like for example, the little spaceship shuttle flying around. First off, when I saw it and it was like camouflaged, I was like, oh, that actually looks kind of cool. It's camouflaged. But then it like became not camouflaged and it just looked weird. And I was like, that's definitely CGI. But that's the only reason why it looked weird. Like the design of it, I think it actually works for me. But it was just the fact that it definitely was CGI that I was like,
Yeah.
oh.
There's a couple other things like that too. That like when they first saw the babies when they pulled them out of their little sacks, I thought they looked really good at first, and then they started moving, and I was like, oh, that's not right.
It looks so good.
It looked good at first, and then they moved.
No, I liked it when they were moving.
No.
Do you know why? Because it felt artificial. Because it was an artificial birth, and they're like,
but it's not an
"Oh,
artificial
This isn't how
baby.
I'm."
It's still a human embryo.
I know, but I
It's
loved
not
it.
an
I loved
android.
it.
I did agree with that too, but I did kind of get the same feeling though. It did feel more like supernatural.
The things that they're and later on down the line, the things that they're able to do in this show with the CGI and the special effects, it's incredible that this is just a TV show, right? There's some just money spent on this show, and I think it's some of the best CGI I've ever seen in a TV show, which usually CGI in TV shows is
That's true.
The worst thing ever.
Yeah, unless it's a huge budget thing.
It really wasn't until like Game of Thrones, and like not even season 1, because there aren't any special effects in season 1 because there's no magic, right? But like when they start introducing dragons and they actually look movie quality, that's like the first time that TV shows have pumped that much money into special effects.
Yeah.
And
right.
I believe this
I
show
think
is right on par with that. Like, it does not feel like a TV show. It feels like a blockbuster to me.
I don't think it's quite at that level, but I do agree that we've been spoiled now with the awesome CGI in some of these shows that are coming out.
That's true. When did this come out originally?
Oh, I think it's been 2 years. I watched season 1 over a Christmas break. When did it come out? there were a few. It was still airing. I think it was. Sorry. It hadn't finished, so I watched like 6 episodes, and then like for like 4 weeks of Christmas and New Year's, I watched like the finale.
Yeah.
2022. Oh, sorry, 2020, September.
Okay.
So it would have ended around Christmas, I think.
Yeah. That makes sense.
So
yeah.
I think that honestly, I could see some potential for sure, but this particular episode, I did feel like there was some times where I was like, okay, that's a little. The CGI is not quite so great. So, I mean, granted, this is the first episode, right? And that's generally the pilot episode, the one they're sort of testing the waters, seeing if it's going to be good, if it's something that people will watch. So, it's not always the best quality.
Yeah.
I still think it's really good quality. I think you guys are spoiled. It's really good quality.
I think we are spoiled, and I think it's decent quality, but it's definitely lacking in some areas. Going back to the myth.
I was right, though. It's been 2 years.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Very impressive.
I really liked the Mithraic soul religion people, and I'm getting that there's a comment in the chat. It's like the Knights Templar.
Yes.
I think that's right on the money, especially in the next episode too. You get a lot more Knights Templar Catholicism vibes from that. Like old Catholicism Crusader.
Martina, what do you mean by they were so teeny though?
I think she was talking about the babies.
Yeah, they were premature.
Well, it said 9 months. It said 9 months later.
Well,
so they wouldn't have been premature.
Well, they were grown in boxes, so they're not going to, be as healthy as humans, probably.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah. Let's see. What else? Okay, so do
you want me to run through? Like, I've got like the scene by scene breakdown.
I've got notes here. So one thing that I'm confused about, and I'm still confused about 5 episodes in, I don't know. Okay, you might have answers, or it might just be some artistic choice. I really don't get why the show is called Raised by Wolves.
I could tell you that because she freaking howled like a wolf in the first episode.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. It's like she just howled like a wolf for no reason, just so they could check the box. Like, okay, they're wolves. And then there's one part in another episode, like episode 3 or something. It was episode 3. They relate it back to a bedtime story that includes wolves, and it's just like they're just putting those things in there for the title. I feel like
it's a metaphor, David. It's a metaphor.
I understand that.
Pull your head out of your butt, David. Listen, obviously he's not literally raised by wolves. The show should be called Raised by Androids. Mm-hmm. You want to be in charge of marketing, David? You want to call the show Raised by Androids? Watch my movie,
I would prefer
please.
That.
What does the term mean, raised by wolves, David?
It typically is referring to someone who is not raised in proper society, and by an inferior, lower form of existence, I guess.
Well, and
his mom is. Thank you, Martina. His mom is a vicious killing machine, not unlike a wolf. Okay, raised by wolves means raised outside of the confines of culture by an uncaring society, world of, where dog eat dog or wolf eat wolf, and you have to learn how to survive in a crazy environment. That's literally what the show's about.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I can see that, but I I don't get the whole howling thing in the first episode. I was like, she
literally,
died.
it's just so they can name it Raised by Wolves. That's why.
That's a good name. It sounds cool. If I see a book that's called Raised by Wolves, I'm going to pick it up and he's Raised by Wolves. But Raised by Androids, I'm like,
and I expect to read
kind of a dumb title.
Tarzan,
I agree.
Sorry,
I like the
it should
title.
be called Raised by an Android Who Howls Like a Wolf.
This is my thing. I just don't know why she had to howl like a wolf. I'm like, first off,
That's-
she's an android, and second off,
Exactly.
she howls like a wolf. Are they trying to be like, oh, raised by wolves?
That's
like,
exactly what it is. That's exactly what it is.
Her
Oh,
daughter
she's howling. She's a wolf.
Her
So
daughter
stupid.
just fell down a
It's so
hole and
stupid.
died.
And
So
I get
why
that.
didn't she?
And she can scream, she can holler, she can
Exactly.
cry.
Why is she a
not-
wolf?
She's not human.
Which is
I
why.
understand.
Why does she go to the wolf?
No.
Hey,
Okay, look.
Are there any other
Okay,
episodes
okay.
where she howls like a wolf?
I don't remember. I'm
Does she-
rewatching
yeah, no.
it with you.
I'm 5 episodes in. She doesn't howl like a wolf any other time. Just that one time
Okay,
because it's
Okay.
like, oh hey.
I'll let you rebuttal.
David.
I'm sorry.
David, you have the worst opinions sometimes.
I actually went to film school. All right.
Oh, ooh! Sorry, let me get out my pipe. You went to
Yeah, there you
film
go.
school. Pardon me. I didn't know I was speaking with an intellectual.
Exactly.
I
I know what I'm talking
No.
about. When I'm talking
think
about
it's great.
forced contrivances
Okay, let me answer
and
the question.
monochromatic
Okay.
color palettes.
Okay, why does she howl like a wolf? Obviously, it's to incorporate the theme of the title of the show, Raised by Wolves. But it makes sense if you pause and think about it for 1 second. She's an android. If you were not an android, and your daughter falls down a hole and dies, and you can't even recover the body because the hole is like miles long, right? You would scream. You do the Darth Vader, Revenge of the Sith. No,
yeah.
Okay.
Okay, get on with it.
She's not a human. She doesn't have the emotions that a human
No.
does.
Well, she's an android. An android
Okay.
is a robot that is built with human characteristics to mimic human behavior.
Okay.
She's not a dog that's a robot
Yes.
that's built like a dog. She's an
Exactly.
android built
She's
like a
trying
human.
to mimic. Okay. She's in that moment. She's searching through her database of what is the she's been programmed to mimic human feelings. Okay.
Mhm.
And this is a slot that probably doesn't exist. I'm searching my database for reactions. I don't seem to be able to locate a spot called "My daughter fell down a hole and died." So she reaches out to the closest thing,
Mhm.
a primal, animalistic howl in grief.
Okay,
It's
that would make
literally
sense
just
if they didn't have
database
other
industry.
conversations about human emotions and about crying specifically.
Yes, but that was insufficient for that moment.
Okay, I just thought it was
It's
really
literally
ridiculous.
her learning.
Very
the,
tongue in cheek and on the nose.
the show is about her. It's hinted at that she is trying to learn human emotions, and she's not good at it. So it's cool that she goes to a wolf howl instead of a normal human cry. Maybe she gets better at it over time.
You tell me. Does she get better at it over time?
Well, she stops
Mr.
howling like a
Two
wolf. You
seasons
said
in?
so yourself. You're 5 episodes. Just
All
one
right.
time.
Let's
Okay,
move
give her a
on.
break.
Let's move on.
Give her a break. Her daughter just died.
You're dumb.
I get your side. I get that for sure, Alan. But at the same time, I'm like, okay, it just felt weird. It felt weird just watching it. I was like, what is going on? And that's when I was like, okay, really, what is Alan making me watch? Like,
Yeah, it's weird. There are a lot of weird choices like that. Okay, but it's very atmospheric. Okay, and you're gonna get hung up on every weird choice. Look at this, the spirit of the law. Not the letter of the law. Okay. Okay.
okay. Well, yeah, and then I thought it was interesting though, like, because it seems like what I'm getting at.
Do you want me to spoil some stuff for you?
No.
Explain?
No. I'll discover all the weirdness
Okay.
about myself. But I did think it was interesting because it definitely looks like she's exploring and she's like learning new things, right? Like that's kind of what it definitely seems like she's learning. Like for example, she made reference to what was it? I just remember specifically in the episode, she's like, "Oh, I didn't know I had that available like that."
Yes.
Oh, it's available.
That's another thing I was going to mention.
virtual retinal display.
Oh yeah,
Where-
yeah. Where she changed into
She turns into Spiria.
The
Yeah.
facial voice mimicking.
Yes.
Yeah.
You were going to mention that?
Yeah, I was going to mention that. Sorry, Jared, you
no,
finished.
go ahead. Go
your
ahead.
thought.
That's basically it. Yeah.
Okay. So I have one small criticism, but then I think that we touched on that. It kind of is answered, but it still is annoying. So they crashed their pod, right? And they were only able to save, the one or the two suitcases full of the embryos or whatever, and whatever other supplies they could
You
get.
find that out later. That's not in episode 1.
Okay.
They don't have any embryos left. You just spoiled stuff.
Well, no, because I could
Okay.
see that they had two of them, two big things.
Yeah,
so
they had two of them.
Yeah.
Okay, but they mentioned when as soon as it crashed, they said, "Oh, it's retrievable," and then they don't try and retrieve it for years.
They
just leave it there.
They got most of the stuff out. They were focused on
There's clearly, when they go back, there's clearly stuff there that they didn't get.
Yes.
I just thought it was ridiculous that they said it's retrievable. It didn't show them going back and retrieving and scavenging it. They just leave it there.
Well, it also showed that when they try and go back, it's very dangerous, and so
when Campion tries to go by himself, but father and mother could have taken care of it, especially when it comes and you learn that she can freaking fly,
which she didn't know.
I know that's my thing. She acknowledges that she didn't know she could fly. She didn't
how
know
were
she
they
could do
supposed
the
to
facial
retrieve it? Right?
recognition.
They just barely developed rope building, and when he tried to go down, it would have frayed. They have other priorities. They were functioning without them,
right? But
and
it was literally years before they even attempted to go down there.
I wouldn't attempt that for several years unless I was desperate.
Well, you just crash landed on a planet, and that's all your supplies. I think that's pretty.
It wasn't
desperate.
all of the supplies. We got some of them out.
Well, I think too.
I thought it was really annoying. It was the very first thought he said when he got out. He looked down at it. He said it's retrievable, and they didn't even attempt to retrieve it until years and years later.
Well, the other thing too is they are androids, right? So they have sequences that they follow, orders, right?
Directives.
I could see that more be look, their primary objective or whatever is
prime directive.
The prime directive is to have babies, right? And so it's
right,
and to raise those children.
But they're raising the kids, and it wasn't until the kids were 6 years old that they show them going back and trying to retrieve the supplies.
And if they try and go back and something happens to the android, what happens to the kids? It's not the highest priority. They only went back when it was absolutely necessary.
Well, and because he actually said, "Hey, I've got to reach out to these guys because I see it being necessary to reach out to them because you're the last one, right?"
Yeah.
At least that's how I saw it. Is that he's like, "Hey, we got to get you back with other people so you don't die out here with us."
Right.
So I got to make contact, and that's when they're like, "Oh, it's desperate enough to go down and try and salvage it."
I get that.
They wouldn't have gone back at all.
Yeah, but I just find it ridiculous and not very believable that they specifically said as soon as they crashed and they got out that it was retrievable and they could salvage the supplies, and then they didn't try for 6 or 7 years.
Well, because trying so would have also presented other risks.
Yes, I agree.
It's logical. If you think about it like a computer, it's not worth the risk. When they can survive without it, so why risk making things worse when they don't need it? It's literally what a computer would choose.
Okay. You're right.
You're thinking about it with your human emotions.
I just thought the decision was very strange.
Yeah.
Okay.
The show is very strange.
I'm done complaining about the show. I only have compliments from here on out.
Because it's good, right?
It's really good.
You got into how weird it was, didn't you?
It's really, really weird, and
I love how weird it is.
And it's still weird. It doesn't get any less weird.
Weird.
but it's just interesting enough to keep you watching. Watch the next episode. But no, I really liked. It was frustrating at first when they showed that she could fly. Like, well, why didn't you just fly down there and get the ship? But okay, they acknowledge that later. She doesn't know she had those powers. But I thought it was cool that how they established that she could do the facial voice modulation or whatever, the mimicking, and then that paid off again at the end of the episode.
Yeah,
and she used that to infiltrate the ship and whatever.
And
so I thought
to be Marcus.
Yeah. So I thought that was really well done. Yeah. The soul
She's
guys
crazy.
were awesome.
I don't know if I'd quite believe her as an android. It's like I don't know.
Yep. Continue to feel that way, especially season 2 or episode 2. You're like, what is going on?
And here's the other thing. Okay, so all right. So when the second to last one dies, right, and they're burying her, and she starts to overload and like foam at the mouth, like I was like, okay, like I get that she's like overloading, but the whole time I was like, oh, she's got rabies now. Okay, like, and then it kept happening, and I was like, okay, that's just weird. That's just a weird way to do it. How to show it.
You know what I was thinking?
It is her lifeblood.
Ridley Scott really, really likes his milky androids.
Oh yeah. Let's talk about Ridley Scott. Okay, so the show is produced by Ridley Scott. It's written by what's his name? Guzikowski. Aaron Guzikowski. So
good job. Nailed it.
After I'm reading from an article now. After graduating from film school, screenwriter Aaron Guzikowski he wrote Prisoners. By the way, have you seen Prisoners? Really good movie. It's directed by freaking, why can't I remember his name? It's Dune.
Oh, you're talking about the director of Raised by Wolves.
Denis Villeneuve.
Oh, right.
So, who just directed Dune? It's real good, right? He also made a movie called Prisoners, which was written by this guy. Really, really good movie. It's Jake Gyllenhaal and Wolverine, Hugh Jackman.
Oh yeah, I saw a commercial for that.
Good movie. He's a good writer. Okay, so he wrote that, but he didn't get a lot of work. And then he had the idea of Raised by Wolves bumping around in his brain for a long time. And he liked the idea of just two androids starting life. And this is why I like the show so much. The first episode, the entire premise of the show starts where most sci-fis stop. It's the ending to a bunch of sci-fi movies where they escape, Earth exploding or something, and it ends with, hey, we finally found a planet, we're going to land there, and we're going to start life anew, right? This is the Ark of the Covenant, or not the Ark of the Covenant, the Noah's Ark, but in space, right? Or we're going to restart population with Adam and Eve, right? It's done so many times, but that's where it ends. It's like, there's a glimmer of hope, and we're going to start civilization anew, but telling that story would be really hard and probably boring. But that's what this does. Like I've never seen a show like this. With that kind of story. I think the closest is maybe like that Mother movie by Netflix. There's that sci-fi.
That was good, yeah.
But that's like on Earth, and it's like restarting civilization. So it's kind of similar, right? But it's just a really unique premise, and it's not a premise that's often explored by sci-fi.
Yeah.
But that's a sidetrack.
Yeah.
So that's what I like about the show is it's one guy's vision. It's not written by committee. It's purely Aaron Guzikowski's vision. He wrote up, the treatment, the idea for the whole thing, and showed it, somehow got in contact with Ridley Scott, showed it to him, and Ridley wrote the whole thing. And as soon as he finished, started doing the
Storyboarding.
That's the word I'm looking for.
Mhm.
Thank you, fellow film student. Right. So like he put the script down and started storyboarding it, and he's like, and Aaron's like, that's what I knew. I guess he wanted to direct it, and he did. He directed the first 2 episodes. Ridley Scott directed them.
Yeah.
So
Nice.
the visual aspects it's heavily inspired by Alien, obviously, right? You got milky androids, which is cool. It's milk, instead of blood, right? Because you don't need blood, but you need like oil stuff, and I don't know. It's a really cool visual. That's the best part of Alien. That when the
surprise
robot,
when they rips off his head,
and he's like thrashing around half his body, like, and like that is.
When I saw that for the first time, I was like, "What is going on?"
It is so freaking cool, and so I love that. It's obviously paying homage to Alien, and Ridley Scott's involved, right? So he's paying for the whole thing, but. The other good thing is that he's planned out the writer. He knows where the story's going.
That's important.
He's planned out the whole thing. You know, he might not know all the details, but it's not going to be like Lost, where they keep bringing up questions like, "Oh, that's interesting," and then you realize, "Oh, they're just not going to answer any of the questions." Right?
Seriously. Okay, here's another thing though that I thought that I laughed at. Okay, so we got the milky androids, but on top of that, when she kills the one android and rips out his heart,
processor.
That's not what it looked like. It looked like
was that the first episode? I thought that was
episode 1.
2.
She kills father.
Oh, it was. I missed that.
Impales him on the.
I was avoiding that because I thought that was episode 2.
No, but then she reaches into the body and like pulls out this like squishy thing that looks like a heart. I was like, what in the world was that about? So anyway, I don't know. It's like
that's when it got real.
But then at the same time, I'm like, okay, she said that she had to throw him down a pit, but we didn't actually see her throw him down a pit. So is he going to come back?
What do you think?
I don't know. Guess I'm going to have to keep watching.
Yes, so.
Back to the Ridley Scott thing, though. I'm not going to spoil anything, okay? But like, it's obvious homage to Alien, which is really good. Something happens at the end of season 1 where for a split second I thought I had been duped the whole time, and I said, this is just an Alien spin-off, isn't it? But it's not. There are some parallels where we're like, okay, this is clearly inspired by some of Ridley Scott's other work, but it happens, and I was like, no, is this just Aliens? Which would have been such a cool reveal, but I like that it's not. It's its own thing. So
okay. I actually haven't seen Aliens, so I wouldn't know it.
Do
anyway. So
honestly,
the first 2 at least.
Yeah, 1 and 2. I haven't finished, so I watched 1 through 3, and I was gonna watch 4, but then they took it off HBO Max like the day I was gonna watch it. But that one's terrible, right? Everyone knows. 3 was not very good either, but 1 and 2 are good. The thing about Alien,
I think it was 3. That was a completely separate movie, and then
they just turned it into an Alien movie,
and they turned it into an Alien movie because it didn't get greenlit.
Was that Alien versus Predator?
No, that one was bad too. No, the
Alien 3.
Alien 3. Is it just Alien 3 or is it has a subtitle? I don't think that one has a subtitle.
Okay,
it's
I don't remember.
That's just because Aliens, Alien cubed.
It's like the one in the prison.
Yes. Yeah, it's just Alien 3. And then Alien 4 is Alien Resurrections.
Yes.
Yeah. the thing about Alien 1 is it's kind of it's a very basic slasher movie. But what sets it apart is the direction, the art direction, right? If you strip it of all the awesome visuals, it's kind of a bad movie, right? Like plot wise,
Yeah,
it's very like a low budget like slasher movie because they put
Yeah.
all of the budget into making the Nostromo. And it's visually just the coolest thing ever. You got to watch Alien. So,
Okay.
What was your point?
Milky
Milky
androids.
Milky androids.
Ridley
I like
Scott
it.
producing.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too. It's a good visual. If it's not broke, don't fix it, right?
Yeah, well, I
what-
guess I'll have to keep watching.
But the androids in this are
Yeah,
a
it's
little bit. They're a little bit different. They're a little bit different than Alien.
I gotta say, it's not the color. I mean, the milk's fine, but it just looked weird because it looked like she was foaming at the mouth rather than like breaking down, which was weird. So, but
yeah, she kind of goes crazy in episode 1.
yeah, so she went kind of crazy. Yeah, she killed everybody and screamed at everybody.
She kills everybody.
Yeah.
Some things it does really, really, really well that I like is the visual storytelling. It does a lot of things without saying it, and you just catch on. Like just the way it does like the time jumps when the kids are growing up is really cool, and like it just cuts away and the father has already built like some shelters. It handles that really well.
And the graves that
yes, when it's
see erected.
like 4 years later, and it just shows you they show you one kid dies and they make a gravestone, and then people start getting sick, and then 4 years later, there's more gravestones, and you're like, it's really good.
Yeah.
And like the skeleton, the giant skeleton. Did you notice when she was digging up the skeleton? Did you notice that visual?
I was wondering why the heck she was digging up the skeletons at first, and I think they answer it in a later episode that the bones give nutrients to the plants or whatever. But
well, you can see the plants.
crazy.
The plants were growing in a spiral formation, and she starts digging up the bones, and it's because they're following the shape of the bones. It's the decomposing animal making plants. It's really cool.
Oh,
I see.
okay. I thought they had planted them in that pattern.
Yeah, me too.
No, it was there when they showed up. Remember? Also, I love the girl who falls down the hole. She starts singing when she wanders off. She starts singing a song, and it is horrible. It's a horrible song.
I don't remember.
It's very heavy, and I'm hot, but I'm very strong. I'm doing lots of pottery. My hands are full. And the music, the melody is good, and the words are devoid of soul because they were written by a robot.
An android, yeah.
The robot doesn't know how to do poetry, but it understands how music works. But when it tries to write its own, it can't give you it's just really cool. It's just this little cherry on top of like, hey, this is a lullaby that the android has been singing. He's literally just singing, oh, I'm making pottery, and I'm very strong, and the sun is hot, and we are outside, and there are snake bones, and we eat plants, and this is a house. Like that's it's I love it. It's really cool detail.
I didn't catch that.
And there like plot wise, you find out in episode 1 that this is so the atheists sent the robots to start new babies, but the Mithraic are on their way because stasis, and so they got there first. Kevlar 22b. Oh, I love this line where Mother is talking to Campion. It's just really beautiful writing, right? She's trying to tell him how religion is bad, and she says, belief in the unreal can comfort humans, right? They search out God when they need to be comforted, right? But it also weakens them. And she's like, the civilization that we are going to build here will be built on humanity's belief in itself, not in an imagined deity. And then Campion's response is like, but what if it's not imagined? They won the war. What if praying for Speria will make her better? And I really I love it. It's just really cool. That was a good line.
I agree.
And then the conversation ends with her like, will you please do your recitations of how 5 is a sacred number? And you're like, this is just another religion, guys. How do you not see that?
I think that to me is the most interesting part of the show, is this dichotomy between so these androids are atheists, but they're very reverential to life and the sacredness of life, and it comes in more in later. They're very pro-life atheists. So it's typically you have in our society in general it's not
in general the religious people are more pro-life than atheist people.
And so just that that dichotomy and that I don't know, just I find their belief system is very intriguing and not typical of current.
Well, my favorite thing that the show does, which isn't super demonstrated here in this episode, but later on, and
I'm trying not to get too much because
not to spoil anything. My favorite thing about this episode is that both sides have good values and both sides have good points, and it's never really clear who's the bad guy and who's the good guy. They just have different beliefs and are trying to solve the same problems in different ways using different thought processes, and they butt heads. And it's really, really well done when you can have a villain who you agree with very frequently. And you can still dislike him because he does bad stuff. But often you're like, well, it's really cool.
Speaking of which, I really, really like. I don't think I've seen any of these other actors in anything else except the Ragnar, from Vikings.
Yes, Marcus is played by Ragnar from Vikings. Yes.
Yeah, he's really, really good.
He's played by the actor who plays Ragnar from Vikings, whose name is something.
Yeah, we could probably look it up.
Yeah, he was. I watched. I think season 1 of Vikings, or I think I watched 2 seasons, and there were a lot of time jumps between seasons where I was like, I don't know if I'm invested in the story anymore. We skipped over what I thought was going to be interesting.
It kind of ebbs and flows. But I stopped.
It started off real. Season 1 was real.
Ragnar good. Left. Yeah, it's not as good after his character leaves, because it's based on historical.
Right. Yeah.
Relevance. So
based on.
Based on, but he Ragnar dies in real life, so they had to have that happen eventually, and after that happened, it just kind of
he carried the show.
I don't know, not as good.
I don't even think I made it to him dying. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really like him in this.
Yeah, he's definitely standout character. But yeah, I don't know if I've seen any of these other actors in anything else. Maybe the kid.
I've seen the kid in something, I can't remember what.
Not Campion, but the other kid from Soul. I think I may have seen him in something else. He looks familiar. Look that up.
Yeah.
Nope, never mind. Nothing I've seen. So Corwin, have you seen? Did you see Raised by Wolves?
He froze.
You lose him again?
He just froze.
Great.
Hold on. Oh, we got two of them.
We got 2 of them.
Can you hear us, Corwin?
Yeah, sorry, I've got
Yeah.
It's one of those nights. I'm trying. There is something in the water tonight. So unfortunately, I've got to go again. I probably won't be back by the end of the stream, but
All
sorry
right.
that I wasn't a super part of it this time. So
It's okay. You can watch
Did you watch
Batman. and we'll
Raised
talk
by
about it.
Wolves, good or bad?
yeah, so long story, I like it. I'm enjoying it. It's different. Is it the best thing I've ever seen? No. Is it something that I am enjoying watching, considering I'm a guy who I'm a nerd, but I can't watch TV shows. Like we've talked about this. It takes a lot. I am enjoying it enough to the point where I'm like making an effort to watch it.
Is it the most
I'm a-
is it the most unique sci-fi you've ever seen?
One of them, yeah. It follows the lines unique wise, I would say Fringe. I don't know if you remember seeing that.
Fringe
I
is
never
good.
watched Fringe. No,
Fringe is so good.
Yeah, Fringe is really good.
that was another J.J. Abrams, though, right?
Yes, yeah.
Might have been.
Fringe was really good.
Okay.
It does fall off near the end. You could tell they were like, all right, we're
Like
running
Lost,
out of weird
you mean?
ideas, and it's like whoop, and
Not
then
as
it's
bad.
like, but as far as the overall show, Fringe was really good. I'm one of those guys. It's like if I'm gonna sit down and I have a few hours where I'm alone or not with my family, I would rather sit down and play a video game. A downtime instead of TV. So it takes a really good show for me to be like, all right, instead of playing Destiny for 4 hours, which don't get me started on the new raid for those Destiny fans watching. Oh my gosh, 9 hours and we didn't complete it. I wanted to blow my brains out. But we'll have to do a whole video on it. It was bad. It was awesome. For those like Alan, the new Destiny expansion is like the best Destiny has ever been. We'll get on that later, I'm sure. But as far as Raised by Wolves goes,
If they bring back the base game, I'll play again.
it does reach that level for me where I'm like, yeah, this is interesting enough and entertaining enough for me to set down other stuff and sit down and watch it, which is also good for my wife because my wife watches copious amounts of TV shows.
You should watch it with your wife.
She actually said
I'd be curious to see what she thinks of.
She actually said she wanted to watch it with me. So I will next week. I will definitely let you know.
And it doesn't have any boobies in it, so it's good.
No, I'm just kidding. So, all right, guys, I gotta go. We'll talk to you later.
Watch Batman, and we'll talk about it next week.
I will try to watch it this week. I'll try to go to the theater with my wife this week.
Okay.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Keep the streets safe.
Yeah, that's one thing. There's definitely no boobies in this show. Everyone is very flat chested.
Well, they're robots. They don't need boobies.
I know. Sorry, would make things awkward.
Well, she has 6 nipples,
Yeah.
but no boobies. So I love how weird it is, right? There are a lot of like very artistic choices, and sometimes you don't get all the answers spoon fed to you, which I absolutely love. I like it when a show doesn't treat its viewers like an idiot and leaves some things to be interpreted. Like, why does she howl like a wolf? I think it's cool. It's going to keep getting weird, but it does start answering the questions it brings up in really, really interesting ways. The finale of season 1 is really cool.
Yeah. I think season 5 that we recently watched, I think a lot comes together in season 5, and you're like, oh,
A Fringe?
Episode 5.
of Raised by Wolves.
Episode 5.
In season
Episode
5?
Right, episode 5. Episode 5 of this
heck
show
are
that
you
we're talking about
talking
now,
about?
Raised by Wolves. I think it really comes together.
Yeah.
No, but speaking of Fringe, I forgot that was J.J. Abrams. That's just another example of how he can't finish anything.
He doesn't know how to end stories.
Yeah, because it was really, really good, and then the last season was just like, what?
He's really good at his mystery box. He's good at creating something that is intriguing, and he can never answer those questions. Is the problem?
Yeah.
So, I'll give Fringe a shot though.
It's really good.
Okay, so we were talking about Ragnar because he shows up right after they dig up the skeleton. Mithraic show up, and I really like how there's a prophecy a Mithraic prophecy of an orphan boy who dwells in an empty land. He will be the prophet that leads them to the salvation. And you're like, oh, is it Campion? I don't know. So
Yeah, that was interesting.
Mhm.
but yeah, the show's best qualities is how both sides are very flawed, and you're not really sure who's right and who's wrong. So then the mom turns into they show up and they try and take the boy, and then that fight scene between the two robots is pretty cool, right?
Yeah, although it was a pretty dumb decision to attack Mother right in front of Campion, you know. but yeah,
But they weren't trying. They were trying to, lead him with the carrot, and then they saw her coming, and like, oh, we gotta.
Yeah.
It's gonna get worse if we prolong this. So, I really like just the choreography in that fight of how unhuman it was. He like jumps on the table and his legs don't immediately extend. Right, like if you jump on something, you're gonna correct, but like he like jumps up onto the table and he like stays crouched, and like I don't know, just the way the guy was moving around is like, oh, it's so alien, it's, robotic is a cool fight scene.
Yeah.
And then she turns into a gold thing and blows everybody up.
Yep.
Yeah, and that has to do with the vision that she had or the dream she had.
Was it a dream?
Right. That's where I was like, "Ooh, is just a look into the past?"
Was it a dream or a memory?
Mm-hmm.
Or a prophecy? Question.
Time will tell.
Answer me these questions 3. And no, I love it. She uses the face thing to look like Marcus, and then she flies into the ship. And I love the way she's just walking through the ship and they're just blowing up. It's a beautiful sequence. It's like, oh, this is gorgeous, and but those are humans that are being exploded. And what a cool way to end the episode on. She tears off the guy's eyelid.
Yeah.
To scan his eyeball so that she can crash the entire Mithraic ship into the mountain, which she crashed a little close to their campsite.
I was gonna say the same thing. Radiation alone's gonna kill the kid.
Interesting. You should say that.
He dies in the next episode. He dies of radiation. Yeah, I know what you're referencing, David, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a cool visual, though. Tears out the guy's eyelid, and the best part is she replaces her children. Yeah. It's so good.
Yeah.
I love it.
Well, Campion doesn't have any playmates. He doesn't have anyone to
but there were
extend the human race with. Gotta go get some replacements.
She walks into the room with the Mithraic children. There are more than 5 kids there, and she only takes 5 of them to replace the one she lost.
I noticed that.
And kills the rest of them. So cool. So freaking cool.
Yeah, she's nuts.
Yeah, isn't that just a great, intriguing way to just like start a show, though?
Yes,
I really like this show. It keeps getting weirder, and it's just good. It's good stuff. So, good job, Guzo whiskey.
Nailed it.
We'll have to wait to see where it goes.
Yeah, where do you, Jared first, because David, you've seen more. Where do you think this narrative is going?
I'm thinking it's definitely going to go into. I think the prophecy that you guys were talking about was a big thing that's going to come up. So whether there's probably going to be some fighting over that, right? Like the guy's still alive, So he's probably going to keep trying to get the profit or whatever he may be seeing, right? Also, he's still alive, and she just abducted 5 more children, so he's probably going to try to be saving them. It's going to be, maybe this survival story about how they're living in the desert and how they.
That's a good.
Interesting points. Yeah.
That's a good catch, Martina, because 5 is special. Yeah.
Well, 6 total, but yeah.
No, but she rescued 5, and
She rescued 5.
manifests in all the aspects of life and atheism or something.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
I thought it was interesting too because they mentioned somewhere, or they mentioned in the first episode something about having like 9 or 12 embryos, but then there's only
12
5 kids.
Yeah, they had 2 boxes of embryos. The other one was on the ship, so
Yeah.
they are out.
I see. Okay.
Because it fell down the hole. Which Campion's pretty cool, right? He climbed down a hole to that's pretty brave. I like him. I think he's a pretty good actor too.
Yeah.
Sometimes he gets a little bit annoying later on, but for the most part, I think he's played really well and written really well.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad for now. Overall, it wasn't horrible. I would just say that there were some weird things where I was like, okay, I don't quite understand this.
Just
or
roll
where
with
it's
them.
going.
Just roll with the weird. Just embrace it because it is a ride. It's the weirdest thing you're gonna watch. Okay?
Yeah.
Unless
Yeah,
you go
no doubt.
like deep dive into like some French cinema. Right. You can watch like Suspiria or something like that, but
we get the point.
It's the weirdest thing you're gonna watch.
Okay.
But it is such a good ride. And it is so intriguing and thought-provoking, and I really like the show. It's good. So, David, where do you think the show's headed? Try not to spoil the stuff you already know where it's headed.
Well, yeah, that's kind of hard to talk about.
All right.
Like I said, the most intriguing part about it to me is the religious aspect and the balance between the different ideologies, and I don't know. I just think that's fascinating to me. It's a really weird show, but parts of it are very beautiful, and I'm intrigued enough to keep watching each time. So
there's some really cool lore stuff that I want to start talking about, and I can't, and I don't remember when you get the answers to.
Yeah.
Because it's been 2 years since I watched season 1. I'm watching season 2 right now, but
yeah.
I'm saving myself the rewatch week by week just for you guys.
You get a little bit each episode, but I think episode 5 is when it really comes together for me anyway. So
also in the finale, but okay.
Yeah. How many episodes are there in the season?
I think 10.
10? Okay.
I believe so. So yeah, this has been Raised by Wolves,
cool
season 1, episode 1. Next week we'll be talking about episode 2 and probably more of Batman if Jared ever gets off his butt to go watch it.
I'm a student. What can I say?
As am I.
Yeah.
All right,
I'm still taking classes online.
There you go. All right. I just need to do better then.
Torrent it or something. I don't know.
Dude, those are the worst. I remember when I did that when they first come out, and you'd have the guy filming it with his camera, and it was like
you see someone stand up in front. Yeah, it's not,
and you're like, oh,
it's not an enjoyable. That's not the way you want to watch the Batman either. It's very visual. But yeah, do you have anything to say? I think we're about ready to kick you off then, Jared, so we can talk spoiler Batman stuff.
Oh, I forgot we hadn't done that yet.
I'm looking forward to that, man. It did look good, and I have seen a lot of good things about it. So
it's good.
I would like to see it. So
it's worth watching.
See about going and see it. Maybe. I mean, my girlfriend and I we don't have a lot planned this week, so maybe we'll go see a movie. Um,
There you go.
yeah, but we'll see how this Raised by Wolves go. I think it definitely is intriguing as far as how they're gonna pull like all the lore in. I mean, because when they started talking about that, to be honest, that's when I was like, oh, like I wonder what the history is, and what's caused them to come here and all that. So I am interested to see where that goes.
What's caused them to come here, indeed.
Yeah, and to be honest, when they showed the whole war sequence that she was flying around as an angel, I thought it was
Continue.
good. So yeah,
Watch episode 2. You'll get a lot of those answers.
awesome. Yeah. So shoot. I think I was going to suggest a TV show to watch, but I don't remember what it was.
No more. I've got too much on my plate.
I already got to start watching Fringe.
Yeah.
Apparently.
You're right. Okay.
Well,
all right. I won't suggest anymore.
Is it worth the downward spiral at the end? A spiral at the end?
It's just
so disappointing when
it's just the last season that is just kind of anticlimactic, but the first several seasons are just so good. They're really, really good.
Okay, I do enjoy a good sci-fi. It's hard to get good sci-fi, right? You get shows like Firefly and they get canceled after one season.
That was a good one.
Which is why I honestly this has got to come to. I hope they get to finish this show, right?
Yeah.
So I want to get as much people as possible watching this so that I can finish watching it. Yeah, a good sci-fi is very rare. It's been a while since Star Trek was good.
Ooh, have you watched the new one though, Discovery?
The series?
Yeah, there's a new Star Trek Discovery.
No, I haven't seen that. I've not heard.
It's on
greatest things
Amazon.
about that.
It's pretty good. I enjoy it. It's
not Star Trek, that's for sure.
Well, it says Star Trek in the name.
So did the J.J. Abrams movies.
Yeah, I thought the J.J. Abrams movie was pretty good.
I like the J.J. Abrams.
They may have been good movies. They weren't Star Trek. Okay. So I don't want people to unsubscribe from my channel from the sheer lunacy that's spewing out of your mouths right now. Yeah, that's the problem. I'm sure someone who's never seen Discovery or who's never seen Star Trek, they are enjoyable, right? Abrams makes shiny things. And yeah, Discovery it looks like a bunch of explosions. It looks like they're putting money into the special effects, but that's never been what Star Trek is about. Star Trek is about philosophy first and foremost. It's just made up philosophy in made up scenarios that happen in space. You meet a new culture and they have a weird thing, and it presents a philosophical debate. That's literally that's all sci-fi.
Yeah.
That's all
that is true.
Star Trek has ever been.
Especially the original series. That's very, very heavily.
Yeah, and the Next Generation as well.
Next Generation 2, it was a lot more flashy.
It got a little more flashy, but it was still at heart
most of them, yeah,
mostly about the same thing. So, I haven't heard a single Star Trek fan say that they liked Discovery.
I'm a Star Trek fan, and I liked it.
Have you watched Star Trek, or have you watched
Discovery? Dude, I definitely watched Star Trek. I can't believe you just accused me of not watching Star Trek.
Like you haven't, man.
I have watched a lot of Star Trek.
How much?
Maybe I'm just not a hardcore fan of Star Trek. Like I haven't dressed up in a costume. That's for sure.
You're not no fan then. I'm just kidding.
Star Trek.
Do you know when the walls fell?
When the walls fell?
Yeah.
I don't know what that's.
Picard and what's his name? When the Walls Fell. That was a good episode about breaking down barriers and communication and.
I see.
Yeah, of Next Generation.
Speaking of
really
Picard,
good.
they've got a series named Picard too on Amazon.
Yeah,
Pretty good.
I've heard that one is pretty bad too.
I also know about that, Jared.
Next, you're going to tell me about the animated Lower Deck series.
Oh my gosh, that show is an abomination.
I haven't heard of those.
It's just it's Rick and Morty with a Star Trek sticker on it.
Yeah,
And there's like
okay. I think maybe while I'm
there's cartoon nudity in it, and it's Star Trek.
I think calling it Rick and Morty is a compliment.
It is a Rick and Morty ripoff written by one of the writers of Rick and Morty, and they slapped a Star Wars sticker on it. Sure, I enjoy Rick and Morty, but that's not what Star Trek is.
I agree with that argument, but I think why I like them so much is because it's Captain Picard. It's like it's fun to see him back on screen. I don't know what it is, but I mean, I think that's why I like the other movie that they made with him.
It breaks so much canon.
I know, but that's the thing. I've never been so I can be a Star Wars fan. I can be a Star Trek fan, and not really care so much about the canon. I just really enjoy watching the movies and the TV shows. Like, so
I hear you.
as far as I'm concerned, the canon has never been too much of a deal breaker for me because I enjoy watching Star Trek, and this is another Star Trek. So that's why I enjoy them, because they're more Star Trek for me.
It just doesn't feel like Star Trek to me. That is the thing. But
I haven't seen either of those shows, so I can't speak for myself. But I have not heard anybody else that has liked either Picard or Discovery.
Maybe I'm just not picky enough. I don't know, but I enjoy them.
Well, you seem to be roasting the heck out of Raised by Wolves. I'm not very picky. I only like.
You're right.
I only like things if they're perfect, but I also watch Star Trek Discovery. Good night.
Oh, that's funny. You're right. There's a lot that I could pick out probably with Star Trek Discovery too, and Picard probably, but I don't know. It's Star Trek, and so I enjoy it. But anyway, I'll let you guys kick me off now. You guys can talk about.
You gotta leave before I just lose all of my subscribers.
All right.
No, it's okay. We encourage discussion on the show. So
yeah, that's what this is all about, right?
Everyone's entitled to their own wrong opinions. Thanks for joining us. Go have fun with your girlfriend. And David and I are going to talk about Batman. So we'll see you next week. We're not ending the stream, but we'll see Jared next week. Bye.
Yes.
Okay, bye.
You can leave now.
Okay,
I'm going to kick you. There you go. All right. Let's talk Batman spoilers, baby.
Yeah.
All right. So what's the scene I'm talking about, David? The scene
So
that ruined the movie.
you're talking about the scene with Batman and Catwoman on the roof, and she's complaining about all these white privileged rich men that don't understand the.
That doesn't do the scene justice, David. She's not complaining about white privilege. She says the entire plot of this movie is because of white privilege. I don't know about you. The entire theater I was in audibly groaned.
Same here.
In that scene, and I almost audibly booed it.
There was audible chuckles and groaning at that line.
It was
like really
so bad. And you know what? Up until that point, I hadn't even noticed or cared about the selective casting for this movie. But they say, hey, this movie's about white privilege and white people suck. And what's dumb is she's saying it to a white guy. She can see his face.
They can clearly see
white, and he's clearly
his chin is not covered. Yeah.
And he's clearly a good guy. She's been using him, to find her friend. right? So you have Batman and Alfred, who are the only two white guys, and all of the other, they're all of the villains. Every single white person in the movie is a terrible, corrupt person, and the two black people are like they're like the mayoral candidate and the Black Commissioner Gordon.
Yep.
Are good.
And Catwoman is biracial.
Yeah, Catwoman. That's what I meant. Yeah, I forgot to add her.
Yeah, no, yeah, you're right.
I don't even care that they cast a black man as Commissioner Gordon.
Yeah,
right.
I thought he did a great job.
He's a great actor. I enjoy him as an actor, right? But like, and I didn't even notice, right? Because like for the most part, I agree that casting should be colorblind. You want the right person for the right part, and they were playing the parts well. I don't like Zoe Kravitz as an actor. I don't think she's very good, and she was great in this movie.
Yeah.
I was expecting to not enjoy her performance, and she was great. Her acting and her directing. She was a perfect Catwoman.
Yeah, I agree. She played Catwoman really well, and it wasn't
I could care less about the color of her
sexualized.
skin until halfway through the movie they say, "Hey, every white person is bad, and the only good people in this movie are because they don't have white skin."
Right.
It literally, like, I loved this movie, and I would give it an S. Like it would be the best Batman movie probably, except for that one line literally retroactively ruined the movie for me.
Right. And I agree. It's made
It was
worse
so
to the fact
stupid.
that she said it to Batman's face, where she could clearly see that he was a white man, and it was just
Well, I
it
think
didn't fit.
she was trying. I think she was trying to imply that he had white privilege too. But like, he's trying to do something about it, right?
Right.
Like, First off, it's just a stupid thing in general. Like we're white,
What?
but we grew up pretty poor.
Yeah.
Our younger siblings are a little spoiled.
But you and I are the oldest. I was the first.
I remember
you're the
growing
second.
up. We never went out to eat at restaurants. Maybe occasionally on road trips we would stop by a McDonald's, right?
Never stayed in hotels either.
But that was
camping.
That was rare. We would like bring crappy garbage lunch meat and rolls to make sandwiches with when we went on road trips. And we went on road trips because we couldn't afford planes.
Cross country too, like
we
all the way.
drove from New Mexico to Washington D.C. and back
Twice.
You got a timing, man. Give it a beat. Are you serious? Yeah. Twice. See, that's the pause I was waiting for.
There you go.
Because you had it wasn't a science project, it was a history project.
History fair.
History fair.
Nationals.
I've never even heard of. That's not a real thing. It's made up. Yeah, you went to History Fair Nationals twice because you made a really good documentary. One was on communism and the other one was on what was the other one on?
The other one was on the Himalayan frontier.
China
and
that
Tibet,
one wasn't
Bhutan.
as interesting, but it was still pretty cool. That's when we went into that Buddhist temple and interviewed that monk.
We interviewed a Buddhist monk in the mountains of New Mexico. That was really cool.
So my brother David put a bunch of work into doing these history fair projects, and he did so well. He kept winning the state tournaments and got sent to nationals, and we had to go to Washington D.C. and we're poor. We can't have our dad has a pretty decent job, but he also had a lot of kids.
Yeah,
and we were pretty was pretty rough sometimes. Like we would never turn on the air conditioning in the winter or in the summer because we couldn't afford the electricity bill. We wouldn't turn on the heating in the winter. We had a wood burning stove though. We would chop woods like in life. I'm not even say like, oh, woe was me. Like we had a good life growing up.
We had a good childhood.
I would in no way say that we were privileged. I would say that we were privileged to grow up in a 2-parent household.
For sure.
With parents who were freaking awesome. And that has nothing to do with the color of our skin. So if anyone tells me that I have white privilege, you can shove it down your throat and up your butt. Because
both at the same time, huh?
There are plenty of white people that had it worse than us. And I know because we often helped them because we participated in several charities and would often bring people food who had it even less fortunate. I wouldn't even call ourselves unfortunate. We were very fortunate.
No, but yeah, I remember, growing up, I'm like,
privilege
asking my mom, like, why are we going to help these people? Like, we need stuff ourselves.
Right. Like, we don't get dessert. How come we're buying a dessert for these people?
Exactly. That's the only time the mom made any
You're giving them Pop-Tarts?
Yeah.
We don't get... Exactly. I remember the first time I had a Pop-Tart. We pulled it out of the box. And I don't know if you know this. You pull out a Pop-Tart sleeve, and there's 2 Pop-Tarts in the Pop-Tart sleeve. And we didn't get to eat both Pop-Tarts.
No.
we had to share our Pop-Tart bags.
Yeah,
I got half a Pop-Tart, and
same
you got
thing
the
with
other half.
Same thing with Swiss rolls and Twix and anything that comes in pair of 2.
You only got one half. Okay.
Yep.
I was very invested when Twix did their left and right marketing because I had PTSD. But just the idea of white privilege is inherently stupid. Privilege is colorblind. There are lots of people, regardless of the color of your skin, who have experienced privilege, and to blame it on some ethereal scapegoat rather than to take responsibility for your own actions, and it is just nonsensical. So that, and the movie, it wasn't even about privilege; it was about power.
Right.
It was about how
corruption.
Everyone in a position of power was corrupt. It was decided to be corrupt because power corrupts. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. It had nothing to do with race until they said, "Hey, this is all about race." And even in that point, it felt out of place because that's not what the movie had been about up to that point. It had nothing to do with race. It was just that it was fighting corruption and how people in power are often corrupt. And then they're like, actually, it's because they're white. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Aside from that one line, though,
the movie was freaking fantastic.
Fantastic. It sounds like we're harping on it, but I really
loved this movie. I absolutely loved it. And every time I think about it, I start thinking about all the things that I liked about the movie. I literally get like, it hurts my heart because like it could have been perfect. And they just decide to throw in that just stupid identity politics, which I can't understand why Hollywood and Washington are so obsessed with the color of people's skins. They make everything about it, and most people, we don't care.
Yeah. We just want good stories.
Want good stories, and it was a good story. I loved how slow the movie was.
I agree too. This was like I said before, it was very down to earth, very more realistic and grounded version of Batman, and I love that it brought Batman. I mean, Batman started off as a detective comic, right?
Yeah, it was a detective movie.
*1.
It was a freaking film noir.
Exactly.
It opened with narration.
Yeah.
It was midnight. A dame walked in with legs for days. Right? Like it was cool. Yeah. Obviously, those weren't the words that were said, but it was a film. It was a Batman film noir. Super cool.
So yeah, I love that they brought it back to that, and it really, really felt like just a detective film, and the detective happened to be Batman. It was great. And
That's what I've always said about superhero movies in general. The way to write a good superhero movie is to write a good story where one of the characters happens to be a superhero.
yeah, exactly.
Right.
And then you write the world and the decisions that are made based on those premises. And
Most of the problems that I have with the superhero movies that I don't like, a lot of Marvel stuff that's just dumb schlock and doesn't have soul, it's because we're writing a superhero movie, and they forget about the story.
Yeah, I agree. It should be predominantly about the story and the characters, and then you fit in the superhero veil over the top of it. That's what comic books were. They were an escape of reality. They were a way to reflect upon our life and our existence and our choices and
we were
good and
so
bad and
poor,
everything.
we couldn't afford comic books. We had to check them out from the library.
Yeah. We'd go to the library. We read all the
and
all
you could never. There
Spider-Man.
was always issues that were missing.
Yeah.
Okay. And because some kid took it home and accidentally destroyed it, and the libraries didn't really care about the comic books, so they weren't going, oh no, we're missing issue 6 in the Amazing Spider-Man. So they're not going and replacing the missing issues. So you just get chunks of the story that you never have access to, and the internet wasn't a thing back then.
Yeah,
it was.
There was no ebooks.
There was internet, but you couldn't find anything on it, right?
Yeah,
everything. Sorry,
and we had dial-up internet, so you click on a page, you go walk away to the other room and get a snack, and then you come back 5 minutes later and like, oh crap, that was the wrong page, and you go back. It took forever for pages to load. It's so bad.
Yep.
Anyways,
there used to be an escape. That's what you're saying.
Yeah. Comic books were an escape and a reflection upon our world, but in this fantastical setting. And so I think you're right. It's the story needs to come first. It needs to be relatable.
But yeah, nowadays they want comic books to reflect our world and to have people who aren't special and. But like it's just like the argument for the Eternals was like, oh, we're finally getting someone who's deaf as a superhero so that people who are deaf can relate. But like,
yeah, but that's not okay. If you come up with a cool superhero that's deaf,
or if you come up,
that's great.
If you come up with a good reason why they're deaf, it made no sense. And have you watched the Eternals?
No, I haven't watched it.
The Eternals were built as like. They were built with a design to be like perfect specimens to fight the deviants by a god. They were built by a god to be perfect, and he makes one that's deaf.
Yeah. Yeah, that doesn't make a lot of sense.
Like,
but,
I mean,
Daredevil.
Daredevil is a blind superhero. That's really cool.
And
Guess what?
And it made sense.
I can read a Daredevil comic.
I've
read lots of Daredevil comics, and I've watched a Daredevil movie that I liked it. I liked Ben Affleck's, but I was a child. I was naive. It's not good. I've rewatched it since. It's bad.
Yeah.
Okay? But guess what? I watched Netflix Daredevil. I don't know. I hated it. Really, I couldn't see myself in the main character because he's blind and I'm not. So
yeah, completely unrelatable.
It was terrible. I couldn't relate. To he's blind. How can I watch something that the reason you watch something is because it's different.
Yeah. I
read comic books because they're not like me. They got rippling abs. Have you seen this?
Please,
you don't want to see my chest. Okay, I got man boobs. That's why I read comics.
Yeah, but yeah, growing up, I think Batman and Spider-Man were my favorites because they were so relatable. Everyone else had these super fantastical superpowers.
Remember Sojourn?
Yeah, yeah. We got that for free from the school library.
Talk about a hottie with a body.
Yeah, eye candy right there.
I don't even remember what that story was about, but that chick was hot. and I remember there were so many missing issues of Sojourn at the library, but we found a lot of them, but there was so many, like we didn't care what the story was about.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that's why Batman and Spider-Man were so good, because they're both very relatable. You know, Spider-Man is just this high school kid.
Yeah.
And you can relate to him in that way. And Batman didn't have any superpowers. He was just rich and he had gadgets, you know.
I can't remember them.
But
we were poor. I'm not gonna read a Batman comic.
Shut up.
Batman's stupid.
They also have the best
Villains.
rogues gallery of villains.
Yeah,
for
Spider-Man and Batman have of Marvel, DC definitely have the best rogues gallery of each.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, I love this. Like more grounded. I just see myself. You know, it's very believable that this version of Batman could exist in the world.
Yeah,
in our world today,
it felt like, oh, this could actually happen.
Yeah, exactly. And just you know, I mentioned before that, you know, he wasn't like this super parkour ninja that just popped in and out of the shadows exactly when he needed, and his batarangs went exactly where it's supposed to go, and his you know, zip line went perfectly or whatever. You know, he skydives off the building in his little bat suit thing. And
that scene was a little weird to me. I liked the idea of it, but it made him look stupid because he saw the bridge coming and pulled the parachute, like going over the bridge. Like, well, what the heck? What do you think is going to happen?
He's right there by the ground. What's he going to do? Not pull his parachute?
That was silly. But
I
liked the
great.
intent of that scene. I just thought the whole, and then the rolling was like he just like broke.
No, I thought it was great. It showed that, you know, he's not, you know, he's only been Batman for 2 years. Yeah. He's not perfect.
I appreciated the intent of that scene. I didn't fully appreciate the execution of it. But
there were just other shots like that too. Like you know, they have him leave and they show him walking through the building. He doesn't just like disappear. He does do that in one scene. He turns around,
but it was in a place that was gone. Like open. He could have disappeared anywhere.
It's exactly. But I just thought, you know, it was very more.
He was just realistic. He was just a regular guy.
Yeah,
he was just a sad rich boy.
Sad rich orphan.
White privileged rich orphan.
White privileged orphan. Yeah. He's not really an orphan because orphans are poor and live in hovel houses.
Right. It doesn't count.
Yeah, I did like that monologue though, from the Riddler.
Yeah.
So
I really liked Paul Dano. I liked him.
Yeah.
But he was good. It was a very different interpretation of the Riddler.
Yeah, I think so. But again, I think it modernized it really well. You know, he's like this live streamer on the dark web.
Kind of an incel type, you mean?
Yeah, it's just very realistic. Like if the stories of Batman were to happen now in this world with the internet and everything, that's how it would happen.
Yeah, I liked the modernized look of Gotham itself. It was still very reminiscent of, you know, like dark brooding Gotham from like Nolan, or you know, obviously not as stylized as the Burton ones, but it still had that feel of, oh, this is Gotham, but like there were like Times Square billboards. Yeah, and you're like, this is an appropriate mesh. This is the best of both worlds.
I agree, and I really like some of the architecture too. It brought in, you know, some of the classic Gothic architecture, particularly in the Wayne Manor, the interior of Wayne Manor, and then I think that was it the courthouse or something had very Gothic architecture, and you're like, that is really well done design. Evening, Jacob. Glad of you to join us. We're talking about spoiler comments on the Batman.
Yeah, we're spoiling everything in the Batman. Sorry, you were talking about the architecture. Yeah, I liked Gotham. I also liked, and normally I don't like it when they try and incorporate like newsreels into movies. It's hardly ever done really well.
It's hard to do naturally.
It's and when it's done in how they did it in the Batman felt really realistic. And like the converse, there was like a debate happening in one of the news segments.
Yeah.
And like it felt like it fit in the like, and especially when they try and do those in other movies, it's often like what? It's the dialogue is really poor. But yeah, I really liked the feel of Gotham in general. The opening scene was a good choice to just slowly watch from the Riddler's perspective as a stalker.
Yeah.
Piecing together this family, and then the kid and the mom go out trick-or-treating, and he looks up and like, oh, I'm going to go in through the skylight. It was cool.
Yeah, that was really good. I also liked the opening segment after that, where you get the voiceover from Batman. And I really love the vibes of, he knows he's in over his head. There's way too much crime that he could ever tackle. And
it did a lot of world building too.
Yeah, exactly.
And explained. Okay, I've been doing this for like 2 years, and this is where I'm at. This is how far I've gone. Like, people know I'm Batman, and and they're scared of me, and I can use that to my advantage because I obviously can't be everywhere, but people think that I can.
Yeah,
like
they're scared that I might.
Anytime that there's a shadow, I could be in the shadows, and I loved that it showed like, maybe it was really good world building.
Yeah, it was really good how they had the the rattle can roll off into the shadows, and then they're like, oh crap, I'm not going to get that.
Yeah, all of the cinematography. I was very impressed with the cinematography. Yeah, except for that one scene.
Yeah, that's not cinematography.
Different scene. The the one shot where the Riddler is abducting the DA.
Oh yes, yeah.
In the back of his car.
We talked about that too. Yeah, when the DA
that was the
gets
one
into the
shot.
Car, everything is out of focus, and I
knew what they were going for, but there needed to be something in frame that you could see.
There needs to be like
the entire screen was blurry, and I was like, okay, I get
everything
what you're
was
doing.
Out of focus.
This is the one shot that looks bad.
Yeah.
But
they need to have something on the dashboard, a watch, a bobblehead. I don't care what it is, but something in focus. But everything being blurry and out of focus was very jarring, and that stood out immediately.
Yeah, the rest of the shots, the cinematography were super good. I think obviously like the moneymaker was the car chase scene.
The car chase scene was very, very good. There, I think on my hands, I can count 2 car chase scenes throughout all of cinema history that are memorable.
I don't like car chases.
Yeah, exactly. Most of them all blend together, and they're unrealistic and filled with tropes and awful and terrible. So
it's hard to film car chases. It's hard to do them.
You're right. And this one I thought was very good because there were times that it was a little bit chaotic and hectic with the rain going on and with all the motion going on, and it was just, there were a couple moments that it was a little bit too much, and I was like, I don't know what's going on, and then they gave you a little bit more context and you could follow the action, and then when it came together in the end, it was beautiful.
I love the choice of doing like a steady cam fixed to the car, which I've seen before, but it worked really well in this scene. And then the way it ends with it's beautiful.
Yeah, the way it came together with the semi trucks falling over, and then the ramp just sliding in right there, and him jumping over it, and then coming through the flames. It was just
gotta suspend your disbelief just a little bit there, but
just a little bit. But
it looked good.
Yeah, it was really, really good.
Bullet. I have not seen the movie. Is that a movie or a TV show?
Is that that's not the one where they curve the bullet? That one is
that's Wanted.
Wanted, yeah.
So other car chase scenes that I have liked. Well, obviously, the entire movie of Baby Driver.
Oh, I forgot about that one. That's really good.
That was the point of that movie, was to figure out a way to make car chases cool.
Yeah,
and that's the answer is choreograph them to music.
But the other one, that's a really good movie. That's a good point. I didn't think of that.
There is a good in Mission Impossible has a good one on a motorcycle. I think it's like 6 or something, and it ends with Tom Cruise crashing into a car and like flying over it. That's a pretty good chase scene, and I think we've talked about the second Bourne movie has a good chase scene.
Bourne Supremacy has one of the best car chase scenes.
But yeah, in general, car chase scenes are boring to me, and this one was super memorable. Probably my favorite part of the movie. It was cool. Yeah,
it was very good.
I'm trying to think of another car chase scene I enjoyed.
He said those are the only two. And then you brought up Baby Driver, which I forgot about. But these two from Batman and from Bourne Supremacy were the two ones that I remember as being good.
I know I've seen like top 10 lists on YouTube, and the French Connection is supposed to have a really good one because they filmed it illegally. And they got sued by the city because they couldn't get permission, and so they just did it.
So they didn't close off the streets. They just
it was actually raining too. And
nice.
I haven't seen that. I started watching that movie with my wife, and she was like, "This is really boring." It was late at night, and so we stopped it, and I haven't picked it back up.
Yeah, but I haven't heard of Bullet. I'll have to look that one up. The other scene that was really striking imagery was when he lights the flare.
Yeah, at the very end,
and leads the civilians out.
Yeah, that felt like a panel. From a book.
And then another one, obviously, is the one from the trailer where he's being shot at in the hallway, and it's just
all you see are
with the gunfire,
the muzzles or the muzzle flares.
That one was a little unrealistic because I don't care if his armor is bulletproof. You're not going to take several sequential bullets to the chest and keep walking towards an enemy. You're still
especially since at the end of the movie they implied that getting shot with a shotgun.
Yeah.
In the same place,
knocked the wind out of him,
where he was like going to pass out. We're like, oh, a machine gun is a lot of pressure too.
it could have been the same scene.
Steve McQueen
with him running at the people.
It's Steve McQueen's in Bullet, David.
Oh,
that's going to be a good. That's going to be a good car chase then.
Yeah,
he does the infamous motorcycle jump in Great Escape. It's not Steve McQueen doing that, right? It was a stunt performer, but it was that's a cool jump. I watched a documentary just on how they did that jump, and it wasn't even documenting the movie. It was just about that.
Just the motorcycle jump.
Freaking awesome! Watch The Great Escape, man. That's a depressing movie.
It was. I was not expecting to end like that.
But then there's still a little hope.
Yeah.
We didn't kill everyone. Steve McQueen's still alive. Sorry, I just spoiled The Great Escape.
Yeah.
Good movie though. Hey, it's been like 60 years. It's your fault. It's your fault.
Seen it yet.
It's your fault if I spoiled The Great Escape.
Yeah. What else? It's hard because you couldn't take notes in the theater.
Yeah. I loved the ending, the confrontation between Batman and Paul Dano at the end.
Yeah.
Really cool scene. I love how emotional Paul Dano got and how he was expecting Batman to be on his side. It was a really cool approach. He's like, I did all of this for you, right? Like I thought you'd be happy. I thought you'd come here and we'd be best friends. I was like, that's an interesting take.
Yeah.
He's psychotic, which we already knew, but we didn't know like to the extent of what he was doing was like a love letter to Batman, and you're like, and it retroactively like makes sense. You're like,
he's writing all the
he was
notes
never gunning for Batman ever. He was the entire movie. He's trying to help Batman, and I picked up on that a little bit in that like some of the murders, well, and that was kind of the theme of the movie where they're like, oh, the Riddler's just killing bad guys, right? So you had the population kind of on the side, like, yeah, let him. But there were a couple of moments where I was like, yeah, he's getting a lot of the clues straight from the Riddler. But I wasn't expecting it to be. I wasn't expecting that ending where he did it because he wanted them to be friends.
Yeah, I was expecting him to like try to implicate Batman in all the things and make him think that he was.
Jacob, I literally brought up the French Connection. We talked. Yeah. I just loved the acting in that scene. He started like hyperventilating and panicking, like, no, we were supposed to be here together and watch it all unfurl. Like it was cool. It was cool.
Yeah, it was cool. His plan was a little bit confusing at the end, though. I think I'll have to go watch it again because it seemed like, okay, so
the cool part about it,
blew up the bombs to flood the city, so that everyone would run to the amphitheater, which I don't know why that would be a place where you go because it's below sea level. Yeah, but then again, it looked like it was already a place that was set up to be like a speaking, a political rally or whatever for the incoming mayor.
They were having a rally that night.
So if his goal was to assassinate the mayor,
no, it was to kill a bunch of people. It wasn't just assassinate the mayor. They were just going to open fire on the crowd.
But they're going to be there whether or not he floods the city or not. That's my point.
It was going to bring more people in, I think. But
I don't know. Yeah, it was kind of weird.
I agree. It
was cool.
But that wasn't like the main part of his plan, right? And which is kind of why I liked it, because like if you take The Dark Knight and you actually start analyzing the Joker's plan, like it's pretty intricate, and if like one thing goes a little bit wrong, like none of it works. It wouldn't work, yeah. Like you have to be omniscient to get this to work and plan it out that perfectly.
Yeah.
And this, there was a big mastermind plan, right? But it was very flexible. The entire point was just one by one, I'm going to bring all these people out into the open and get them killed. And that was really cool. Like it was a plan that could have worked, and it did really. It was a lot more believable as like a criminal mastermind, right? Than even though The Dark Knight is objectively a better movie, the plan is a little bit more believable in this one. The final step is doesn't make 100% sense, but it worked for me. It didn't pull me out of the movie like that one scene with Zoe Kravitz. So
yeah.
And talking about Zoe Kravitz, I was not expecting to enjoy her at all, but she's kind of the perfect Catwoman, at least in how she's directed in this film. Except every time she took off her wigs. I'm sorry, but she is not attractive when she does not have hair. Yuck. So
well, that's just like
this is obviously a person. Yes, this is obviously a personal preference, but
no, I hear you.
She did not look good without hair, to me.
Yeah, but I did like when she had her what do you call it? The
costume
ski mask thing on. It had the little pointies. It looked a little bit like a cat. I thought that was cool. I thought they did a really good job of with the costuming for her, because it wasn't over sexualized like Catwoman has been in the past. It was a sexy costume, but it wasn't super over the top. And I like when in the end when she brought out the chain, it's kind of like a callback to her whip. In the comics. I don't know. I just thought they did the character really well.
Yeah. Not as pretty as Anne Hathaway, but better. But a better interpretation of the character.
Sure.
But Anne Hathaway's hotter. Come on.
Tomato potato.
She's hotter than Zoe Kravitz.
I don't.
She
I don't
was
like Anne
not. She
Hathaway.
wasn't a great Catwoman though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Get Smart was the only thing I've enjoyed Anne Hathaway in. I don't like her as an actress. Sorry.
I don't disagree about her acting, but she's drop dead gorgeous. So
Sure.
more so than Zoe Kravitz, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm not trying to be mean to Zoe Kravitz. I just haven't really liked her in anything I've seen her in, but I really liked you in this. Good job. If you watch my channel, probably don't.
Yeah. Trying to think what else. We already said Inspector Gordon was very good.
Yeah,
I liked his casting.
Commissioner Gordon.
Commissioner Gordon. What did I say?
Was he commissioner in this movie though, or was he?
I don't know.
I don't think he was. I don't think he had his title
Okay.
in the movie. I'd have to go. I wasn't paying attention to that. I just realized I was like, oh, I don't know if he was actually a commissioner because he kind of seemed a
Like an
little
underdog,
lower down on
lower-
the food chain.
Lower peon.
But he did
Yeah.
have a lot of privileges in that, like, he was the one saying Batman could participate and everyone else was against it, but they couldn't revoke his authority. So maybe he was
Yeah.
already commissioner. But there were a
Yeah.
lot of people who had more authority than him.
Yeah.
It looked like
But one of them though was the one that was corrupt.
he
And
was
so
a bad guy because he was white.
I'm assuming they're gonna
Right.
oust him by the second movie. Yeah, let's see what else. Talked about the music, talked about the cinematography.
My wife had a complaint that I don't think is valid at all.
Okay.
But she
Lay
said
it on
she didn't like that once you reveal who the Joker is. She didn't like that it wasn't someone that we hadn't already seen before in the movie.
Oh,
Which would be a valid complaint if that's what the mystery was.
yeah.
If that's the thing he was trying to solve is who's the Riddler, but it wasn't. The mystery was what's the story behind all this corruption, right? What's the conspiracy? And the Riddler just happened to be the one feeding him clues. So I did not mind at all that you don't see Paul Dano as a person before he's revealed.
Yeah. I
And
think
after I
that
explained
would've
it to her, she's like,
complicated
yeah, I
things
guess.
more.
But did you notice that it's just 7?
Yeah.
Have you
I
seen
mean,
7?
I have not seen 7, but I know of
Okay.
7.
Yeah, pretty much.
I
Beat
know
for
what's
beat.
in the box.
It is an homage to 7,
Yeah.
and I would not call it a ripoff. It's very much saying like, hey, like clearly inspired by the style, David Fincher-esque, but also the story a lot. Like the way they reveal who the bad guy is, like he gives himself up to the police in the same way that they do in 7, but there's one more twist,
Yes.
similar.
Speaking of, we already kind of talked about the monologue when he was in the Arkham Asylum Penitentiary.
Yes.
But I really liked how it seemed when that started that the Riddler had figured out that Batman was Bruce Wayne.
Yes,
Because
he says Bruce Wayne.
Yeah. So it sounds like
it was a really
he's
good bait
figured
and
out.
switch because it wasn't just that scene though. They led into it before with
who's the Batman? It's like he's trying to figure out
when they're in the Riddler's apartment, which is also an homage to 7 when they find the bad guy's apartment, and it's basically the same. But on the wall, you literally see pictures of Batman and Bruce Wayne because he was part of the narrative as well. And you're like, oh shoot! And like there was a scene where Batman was looking at it and worrying. You're like, does he know who I am? And then he shows up and he starts saying Bruce Wayne. And you're like, oh crap, he knows. But it turns out he didn't, which was a cool bait and switch. That
a very good
Bruce
bait and
Wayne
switch.
is the only one who got away from his big mastermind plan.
Exactly. Yeah, it
Which
was really good, and I thought it fit too because the Riddler is all about mysteries and riddles, and he's like, you know what? It doesn't matter who Batman is. That's
he never
part of the
cared. He
mystery
never
of the
cared.
intrigue. Yeah,
he never cared
exactly.
who Batman was.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't say never, but I think he had the newspaper clippings in his apartment says, "Who is Batman?" But yeah,
he was in love
I
with
think
the
that
mystery.
Exactly. Yeah, he's in love with the mystery. He doesn't care who Batman is himself.
He just wants to be Batman's friend.
Yeah.
So he
And that was
and in
really
his own way, he
wonderfully
was
done.
helping him. He was doing the same thing. He's like, "Hey, you fight crime. I'm gifting this to you. This is me fighting crime.
Yeah.
Did I do a good job?
Rooting out corruption.
I did a good job, right?
Yeah, it was
loved
really,
that.
really good.
It was so unique.
Yeah. You want to talk about the Joker in the end?
It's fine. I didn't dislike it. I don't think it added anything. It felt like a post-credit teaser.
Yeah, it very, very much.
But it happened in the movie, which is I appreciate that you don't have to wait through the credits.
Yeah, I think
I do anyway. I like listening to the music of the credits, but I don't like post-credit scenes.
Yeah, I agree.
I think it should be in the movie or not at all. Or
it's annoying
during the credits, like.
Oh yeah.
As they're scrolling, you can put like bloopers or maybe another scene, right?
Yeah, no, that's I agree with that. That's fine, but yeah, it's annoying. Just wondering whether or not you have to wait for the credits to see
the worst scene. Is with the Marvel TV shows. They will have sometimes they had post credit scenes and sometimes they didn't, and sometimes it was like in the episode 5 had a post credit scene, and the Disney Plus would automatically skip the credits.
Yeah,
it was stupid. But really those shows were all terrible anyway.
The Joker cameo, I guess, in the end was good. It makes me really want an Arkham Knight or Arkham Asylum spin-off on the from the video game.
Yeah, it could be.
I think that would be fun.
And the gang he fights at the beginning were clearly
so that
Joker heads or juggalos or something,
Yeah, that's what I was kind of going with. I was confused at first on why they had Joker-esque makeup on, and then you realize, he previously captured the Joker, and those are some of his lackeys that are still loyal to him and have this gang
or pretenders
that are reverent. Yeah. In any case, it's a gang that's reverencing the Joker. So
I liked the visual storytelling with that gang, though, of the guy initiate. He'd only had half the face, which is kind of also like a Two-Face nod, but you don't get to paint your whole face until you've killed the guy.
Yeah,
that was really good. Cool stuff. What do you think about Alfred? Andy Serkis.
Andy Serkis is awesome. I love him in anything. Well, not anything, but I thought his character in Black Panther was underutilized. The Claw or whatever. I liked him, but I didn't think he was. I don't know. He didn't fit the proper English gentleman butler that I had imagined as. But that's been portrayed so many times. It's a nice, fresh, interesting take. So I liked it. It was all right. It wasn't what I was expecting. It wouldn't be my first choice on casting for Alfred, but it was good.
I mentioned in this version, Alfred is the person who taught him how to fight too.
Yes. Yeah. He said, "I couldn't be your father, but I could teach you how to fight.
I could teach you how to
protect yourself,
become a vigilante."
Yeah.
I thought he was fine. I don't know if it was like a stellar. Not the performance. I don't know if his character added a whole lot to the story in general.
I agree. Yeah.
There was the one scene in the hospital which didn't feel out of place, but it did feel a little unnecessary.
Yeah.
I liked the scene with the bomb though, where you think it's gonna be. That was a cool way. I liked that setup. I don't know if it was executed perfectly.
Yeah. Yeah, but the problem is we haven't been emotionally attached to this
Yeah.
version of Alfred.
Like,
So,
we see that Batman is, but we
right,
he
but we
wasn't.
don't feel that as the
We
audience.
didn't know him long enough to
Exactly.
be invested when that fake out happens.
Right, and of course we know the character, you know, we know his significance and importance to,
But we didn't know
Batman
this
and to Bruce Wayne.
version of him yet.
But yeah, and again, it goes into my my other small criticism is I don't think this film gave Robert Pattinson enough opportunity to act as Bruce Wayne, and I think having Alfred get blown up, it just made him when he was Bruce Wayne, he was just dark and broody and mopey and sad, and that's the Batman. He's he's dark and he's broody, and there wasn't enough distinction between Batman and Bruce Wayne, and I don't think that's Robert Pattinson's fault. I think that is the story's fault, and I don't blame the story because it was good.
Here's where
I don't know how they could have done it better.
Here's why I liked it, because you're missing the persona of
Bruce Wayne.
In that, like, he's pompous and rich, and he has to put on this facade, right? Because the Batman is who he is, right? In this movie, to me at least, and I think it's what it was hinting at, is he doesn't have that yet,
right?
Because he's new to Batman, right? He's new to this responsibility, and they even hinted that, like, oh, you're not paying attention to your business at all, and if you don't do it, it's all going to go away. And at this point in the story, like, he does not care about Bruce Wayne at all, and so he's not even trying to put up the facade, which felt appropriate because he is sad in this movie, and he doesn't want to be Bruce Wayne. He wants to be Batman. So I liked that we didn't get to see Bruce Wayne.
You're right. Right, I get that, and I understand those decisions. But then you also had the conversation again with the Riddler, where he's saying our masks allow us to be our true selves. You know, we are who we really are when we have the mask on, because we don't have to pretend. Yeah. But I'm like, he's not. He's the same person without the mask.
Okay.
You know, so I would have liked to see. Like I said, I don't know how they could have done it better, because I don't think the story
had time for it.
Had time for it. I don't think it. It would service the story to do that. I'm just a little bit upset. Not upset. I'm just a little bit, I don't know, discouraged, I guess, that we didn't get to see more of that dual persona, the alter ego of Batman and Bruce Wayne. But like I said, it was really good. I just think that maybe they could have had some opportunities to show him as, the rich, charismatic bachelor, Well,
you get the scene at the funeral
that he's dark and broody.
Yeah.
He doesn't talk at all. He just listens to the mayor saying you're not doing a good job, and then he listens in on Commissioner Gordon talk. He doesn't do anything. He just sits there. Dialogue. He just sits there with a broody face and doesn't say anything. He could have. Been more suave and charismatic and say, hey, lady, I'm doing the best I can. I'm not my father, and it's a lot to take on, or I don't know, whatever.
I understand that. I personally I didn't miss any of that.
Yeah,
but
like I said, I don't think the story would have serviced that. But it's just I'm a little bit disappointed.
Can we talk about
just a little bit?
Can we talk about my favorite part of the movie? At the very end, with the last bad guy, he punches his face, and they take off his mask, and they say, "Who are you?" And he says, "I'm Vengeance."
Yeah, I
thought that was a really poetic way to bow tie up the movie.
Yeah,
because that's Batman's line at the beginning of the movie when they ask, "Who are you?" When the Joker gang asks who Batman is, and he says, "I'm Vengeance." And then he sees in that moment that he kind of is the same as the Riddler. And that if he continues down that path, that's all he will be. Which is why I think your whole argument is invalid for the Bruce Wayne part.
Right.
Bruce
That's what
Wayne,
I'm saying.
Bruce Wayne like does not exist in this movie, and that's on purpose. Like even when he's being Bruce Wayne, he's just Batman.
That's what I'm saying.
Like
I agree.
That's the point of the movie.
I know, but I'm still disappointed we didn't get to see the other persona. But yeah, you're right. That was great. He said, "I am vengeance," and then in the end, it shows that he is, despite seemingly fighting a losing battle, he knows he needs to be more than just the
fear,
what they fear in the shadows. He wants. It's kind of like the opposite of Bruce Nolan's Batman. He's trying to be the Batman that they want, not just the Batman that they need.
Yes, it is.
He's trying to be be someone that the criminals fear, but also someone that the civilians look up to and revere, and he's the hero. But yeah, I really like that.
And then I liked the goodbyes between Batman and Catwoman as well. And like, oh hey, you could leave with me, and he's like, oh no, you're taken. I forget. You're married to the city. You're married to the badge.
Yeah,
it was cool.
It was really good. So, and Penguin's still at large, so we can. There's plenty of room to expand.
Well, because there's a power vacuum, it's kind of like an origin story for Penguin. My wife like nudged me in the middle of when after the car chase, when they captured Penguin and they had him tied up and then they leave him there.
He kind of waddles off like a penguin.
Yeah,
my wife did the same.
Like, hey, untie me, and then she's like, he's waddling like a penguin. Like, yes, I know.
My wife did the exact same thing.
But hilarious. Apparently that excites women.
but I like that they had moments like this. It was a good tip of the hat, clever little nod, but it wasn't too ham-fisted over the top.
No, it felt very appropriate.
Right,
it was just funny because she was like explaining the joke to me, and I was like,
I get the symbolism. Yeah.
I get it.
No, but it was good. But right before that, there was an example where I almost thought they were going to ruin it. When at the end of the car chase scene, car flips upside down. He comes through the flames, and then you get that upside down shot of him walking, and then he just kind of bends down and looks at him upside down. And I was like, please don't say a corny line. Please don't. But they could have easily.
I'm upside down because I'm a bat.
Yeah, something like that. Or like I thought I'd just drop in. You have time to chat or something, something stupid.
That would have been good though.
I know. But I'm glad that they didn't go that route.
The frame is upside down so that I look like a bat.
Yeah. But, there's a couple moments like that.
Man.
It was like
it needed a one-liner there. What is wrong with you? What are you talking about?
No.
That would have made it so much better.
No, we don't want a Batman and Robinify it. We don't want any of that. But yeah, that's something that the previous iterations of Batman would have thrown in a little one-liner quip at moments like that. I'm just so glad that they didn't.
I like it.
It cuts and he just slam Penguin against the bridge there or whatever. So anyways, yeah, it was really good.
Yeah, I think the star of the movie is the cinematography.
Mm-hmm. For sure,
followed very closely by the mood, which is part of it. The mood is kind of part of the cinematography.
Yeah, and the music pays into that too. I thought they did a really good job when they this movie knows what it wants to be. And it accomplishes that very well. I thought the the 2 or 3 note kicker that they kept repeating throughout the show was very good. The theme. It was
ostinato.
Yeah. Gonna keep throwing out musical terms.
I'm good.
Batman leans down and says, "Peekaboo." Yeah. Yeah, no,
No,
I thought that
should've
was
gone,
really
You
good.
should have gone. "Ha! Ha!"
I want to suck
I
your
can
blood.
I can see you through echolocation.
Yeah. No, I thought the music was really good, and I didn't understand the significance of Ave Maria. I thought it was. I thought at one point they were going to do like, Bruce Wayne was in a choir of schoolboys that were orphans or something, and that's how he had seen the Riddler in the past or something like that, and they sang Ave Maria.
I think if they tried
But-
to explain it, it would have been silly.
I agree, but
I think it
I
was just
wonder.
a song that he liked. Riddler liked it. So
But it was good. I loved how they transitioned Ave Maria into the bum,
Yeah.
bum, 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 you know. But it was really good. It's very very reminiscent of the Imperial March from Star Wars. It was a couple of notes off from that, but it was good.
yeah, I liked the movie, except for that one stupid scene.
Yeah.
Agreed. The whole thing was about white privilege.
According to one character. But yeah.
He should have just, you know what would have been great? It would have fixed the entire movie if he slaps her. This whole thing is about white privilege. Just, bah!
Yeah.
No, it's not. And then just continue on.
It's such a stupid line, delivered to someone who is obviously white and trying to help the city. It's so stupid. But anyway,
it was fun. I enjoyed myself. So that was the Batman. I think it's planned to be 2 more movies. He wants to do a trilogy.
Okay.
So
Cool.
we'd get to see more Penguin and the Joker. I think the laugh was pretty good. It's hard. It's really hard to do another Joker.
Yeah, there's been a lot of good talent in
But
that.
it can be done. I mean, we recently just saw Joker, which is a very unique take on it, and Joaquin Phoenix did a good job.
He did.
So it's not oversaturation that made Jared Leto's performance garbage. It was just his performance.
Well, I don't. It's probably a lot the direction of the show as well, but
where's the Batman could have leaned down and said, "Where's the trigger?" Yeah, we could. We see that would imply either that this Batman was trained by Christopher Nolan's Batman, or that the Christopher Nolan Batman movies exist in this Batman universe.
Ooh.
But they're based on the real Batman. So in this universe, they're making Batman movies.
Ah, there you go.
Yeah.
That could work.
It wouldn't. It would not work. Well,
you imagine him going to the theater like, George Clooney doesn't even look like me.
It's just like the penultimate episode of Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Yeah.
Or I guess the one before like the 4 episodes that were the last episode, right? It wasn't technically the penultimate if you divide those up into regular times. But yeah, I think we've talked about we've talked about it quite ad nauseum.
Mm-hmm.
That scene just pisses me off. I want to enjoy it so much more.
Yeah.
I
thought it was a stupid line, but I choose to ignore it and enjoy the rest of the movie because the rest of the movie was freaking
But
amazing.
it makes you recontextualize the whole movie.
From her perspective, yeah.
Well, from my perspective, the movie is evil.
Nice. I see what you did there.
from a certain point of view.
From a certain point of view. Yeah. Bruce Wayne's watching in the theater. I didn't sound like that.
You can hear what I'm saying. Yeah. Well, yeah. It's late. Let's call it a night. Thanks for joining us today. Hopefully, we'll have a slightly larger cast next week, where we'll be talking more Raised by Wolves, and we'll also probably be talking Batman again because more people will have seen it by then. So this has been fun. I'm really tired. I'm in a really mellow mood right now. I hope it's still entertaining. But thanks for joining us. Thanks, David. You're always welcome on the show, no matter how many bad opinions you. I mean, you liked Jurassic World, Lost Dominion, Lost
Fallen Kingdom.
You liked Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom for some reason.
I thought parts of it were enjoyable. I didn't say it was a good film.
You did, not on camera, but you told me you loved it. And I hated that movie. Well, we'll see you next week, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Bye.
All right. Bye.